Yo, 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 yo. It's another episode of the Weekend Rhyme. This is your boy, RKY. That is Leroy Green. And we are back at it again. You know what we do, the number one hip hop podcast on the weekend.
What up?
We're getting into football season. And it's going to be, I ain't going to lie. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be difficult for me to continue on. I got to admit, I'm a big football fan, man. On Saturday, my wife, much to her chagrin, Saturdays and Sundays and Mondays and Thursdays, I'm watching football, man. I'm in front of my TV. I got my wings. I got my pizza. I got my kids.
Got you.
I'm watching football. Football started out today, Florida State versus Georgia Tech over in Dublin, Ireland. And surprisingly, Georgia Tech won. So we're going to have to mix this show up a little bit. We might need to come in on the mornings. We might need to do like the mid-afternoons. I don't know. But this is the first time I was doing the podcast in football season. It's gonna be rough, man. It's gonna be rough, man. It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough.
I watched a little bit of football yesterday. You know, the Raiders, Niners. You know what I mean? First game, so I'm in the A area, man. So that's our team. I tapped in. I had to listen to these albums, man, to make sure I had some fire to discuss, but. And I heard boxing. I heard Mayweather's out here tonight. Mayweather's boxing. I'm like, I thought he was.
Mayweather not boxing. Where you heard that from?
I mean, I just seen a text on my phone and it was like, "What's up with Mayweather tonight?" I'm like, Mayweather, he supposed to be retired.
Mayweather ain't fighting. Mayweather ain't fighting. You know what I'm saying?
All right, just making sure, man. Maybe
I want to say something, guys. Let's have a nice show tonight, guys. I know everyone's passionate in the comments.
Man,
let me just say something, Leroy. It's certain rules to the game, man. No women, no children. Let's not talk about folks' moms, the personal shots. Let's talk about the opinions, guys. So I appreciate the passion of the audience, right? As someone who's been around, who's one of the co-founders of this, I appreciate the passion of According Hip Hop's core fans. I do. But let's keep it above board, man. Let's have a nice show. We got sponsors. Hold on, let me finish. We got sponsors in the chat. Let's just keep it above. You can disagree. You can forcefully disagree. But let's keep it respectful. Because I got y'all messing with my children's money, man. With all this back and forth. What's happening tonight? It might be messing things up. So I'm just saying, please.
This guy Michael Rubin has said something. What he finds that he doesn't like in black culture is the hate that black people have against other black people. Now, I'm going to touch on that a little bit, but are we mad at the messenger or the message? Which one we going to be mad at? Because we see stuff play out in real time. So I'm going to touch on that a little bit later on the show because he talked about that. My question is, do people feel like because they are black, they know what being black is like better than someone like him? Now, if you do, that's okay. As you can see, I'm black. But do you feel that your emotions make you more educated on being black, or does substantive facts make you more educated on being black? And so what is black culture? If anybody has an idea of what that is, put it in the chat. But let's be smart about it. It don't have to be overly complicated. You can make it super simple. Like, you can give me like soul music. You can give me simple things if you feel that's black culture. I just want to make sure when someone challenges the culture that we actually know what our culture is. That's the first question. As far as the disrespect goes, I'm a street person, man. This is business. If you take issue with me, there are things you can meet me in the street and we could do it there. I prefer we do it there.
Again, Leroy, we're a podcast, and we don't need to articulate street talk here.
I'm with that. I'm with that smoke.
We understand that, but we have to keep a level of decorum.
Yeah.
I understand there's gonna be people in here that don't like what I have to say, don't like what you have to say, but we don't have to profess how we operate offline, online, okay? Because again, we have a brand to uphold. We got people that's watching. And we don't need to articulate that. I mean, people, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to do that.
People ask for it. They ask for the issue. Then when the issue comes, they wish they didn't ask for it. Now, again, I show up with peace and love. That's been recorded. all of my shows are here and doing that's been recorded numerous times. It's been about peace and love. You know what I mean? I return the hate with love. That's cool. But if you have a real issue, articulate that, people. That's all. Just articulate that, because there are other people that you're going to have disagreement with, and your emotions are not going to be able to automatically win arguments. You're going to have to substantially prove why you are right and the other person is wrong.
All right. Well, let's not belabor this point. We got it. Let's go to this. We talked about Michael Rubin. Go into so you wanted to talk about Michael Rubin tonight. What was your thoughts on this, and what was the whole thing? I know he said something on the Breakfast Club about what he thought about black culture.
Right.
Basically defended Meek Mill. And then he apologized a day later, saying that he was out of pocket. Someone that he respects told him he shouldn't be speaking on black culture like that. What were your thoughts on the Michael Rubin situation? You see him here at the white party. And I want to say this. You can say what you want to say. I'm not holding out an invite for the white party. But so just say whatever you want to say. We don't have to be political about it. And we go from there. Yeah,
I mean, what I got to say about that is, right, you don't always have to agree with the message or the messenger. This person, you know, I'm going to say he's white. I know he's Jewish, but for this sake of an argument, I'm going to say he's right. People are saying that, well, if you're not black, you don't have the right to speak on black culture. I want to know where you got that from, because I'm not, you know, there are certain things I could speak about another person's culture, and I don't have to be a part of their culture to speak on it. So who said that because this person is not black, that he can't speak on this culture? Now, first, I don't know this person. You know what I mean? So I'm not caping for him because I don't know him. I don't know his importance in the game. I don't know why so many people show up to his event, his white party event. I don't know what makes his opinion that of such a big deal. But if he's right, if black people are hating on other black people, then are we going to address him, or are we going to address the issue? And if you feel that because you are black, that you know more about the experience of being black than someone who is not, what if this man says, okay, well, I'm Jewish, I'm white, so that connectivity with black people gives me the opinion that I'm sharing with you. Can you articulate? I'm talking to the culture, everybody in this space. Shout out to the people in this space that show me love. The other podcasts who behind the scenes show me love. Okay, I'm giving this to the whole space. If this person is wrong, right, then how can you articulate his wrongness besides saying, well, I'm black, so I know more than you? Because is that enough? Is it enough to say that I speak for black culture because I'm black? Or do you have to actually know what you're talking about when it comes to black culture versus somebody who obviously has deep relations with the artists in this game, with the culture in this game, who's been around? He's obviously been around some black people. I'm not saying he's an expert, but if he says that black people hate on other black people, is he telling the truth, or is he lying?
Well, again, you know, I'm not a big fan of the Breakfast Club. I'm also, I think you can critique. I mean, universities across America and across the world critique all types of cultures, right? So I don't think we're exempt of anybody examining, critiquing, dissecting our culture. I think the optics of it, I hate to use that word, that's such of a new generation word, optics. You know, back in the 80s and 90s, and when I was a youngster, didn't hear terms like optics and things like that. But the optics of it, you know, this guy has a party. He parades, like he hangs around, you know, the baby, little baby, Jay-Z. And then people think it may be disrespectful for him commenting on certain aspects of our existence, that he's out of pocket. And they think that he's been afforded this luxury since he got people drinking, eating, having a good time, dressing in a nice skivs that he can speak on the culture. But again, you know, I didn't think nothing of it. I didn't think nothing of it when he said it. It didn't really bother me. Because again, people are going to examine people's culture, quote unquote, all the time. It happens in universities and schools every day, daily basis, right? So it didn't really bother me. I'm not fishing for an invite to the party, but it is what it is, you know. But I see how some people took a took a step to it, but I'm just not, I wasn't that interested in the commentary.
It don't move you like to the point where you feel you got to combat it. And I understand that because you really don't. I mean, like I said, we don't know this guy. We don't know, like who is he that we have to combat. But really, I'm just speaking to the culture itself, because his quote was one thing I learned about black culture that I don't like, and it's black on black hate. Now, I've already said my issue on black hate. Is he telling the truth or is he lying? But the first part is what I've learned about black culture. Now, what I want to know from hip hop culture, I'll call it hip hop culture, but it's really black culture. What is black culture? Do we know what that is? Can we define that? The lyrics behind me on these albums that the artists we're going to talk about today, that's black culture. But do we know what black culture is, or are we just emotional when someone calls out a certain aspect of where we're at right now?
I mean, it's multi-layered. Are we talking about Black American culture? Are we talking about foundational Black American culture? Are we talking about transatlantic Black culture? Are we talking about African Black culture, Caribbean Black culture?
Where you have free range.
I don't think it's I don't think it's a monolithic, right? I don't think it's one. I mean, it's different segments of Black identity and Black culture that exist across the globe. So we just got to be really specific. So maybe he's talking about Black American culture, or foundational Black American.
Want to go anywhere. In my opinion, Black people cover the globe. That's my opinion. So yes, we have a unique American story. But also respectfully to my Black Americans, which I'm also a Black American, sometimes we think that our struggle, and we're going to talk about pain and struggle today, just for one point I'm going to make later, do we always have to party, or have we been through struggle before that we can rap about? As far as globally, we all share a certain struggle, right? So you can keep it just America, or you can say around the globe we have shared certain struggles. So it's up to the culture. I want to get rid of like rules, and that's another thing I'm gonna talk about is who made the rules that we stick by as hip hop today. I want to know, why do we have to follow rules? Who told us we have to follow rules? Your song have to be like this. It has to be melodic. It has to have a hook like this. It has to be this. Who says we have to follow rules? So it could be American or global is what I'm saying.
All right. CJQ with the super chat says, Leroy, at some point, can we hear your take on what if Nas signed to Murder Inc? I saw your comment. I saw that comment in the video. Would love your take. Do you want to speak on that real quick?
Yes. And shout out to Rob Markman. I made the comment there. He has a what if series coming, like what if things would have happened. And what if Nas, I was more interested in what if Murder Inc came out, and I'm talking about the group Murder Inc, which was Jay, DMX, and Ja. What if that album actually got completed and came out? Like, that's a what if for me. But what if Nas signs to Murder Inc? I think that maybe we may have got what we see now with King's Disease and Hit Boy, like that kind of sound that we are hearing now in these last 6 albums. I think had he signed with Murder Inc, it's possible that we would have got that same type of approach, same type of sound. Not comparing what Hit Boy is doing, but what I'm saying is a more digestible, a more relaxed, a more easy listening from Nas is what I think possibly we could have gotten from that situation. To answer your question, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I think at the time that Nas was thinking about signing to Murder Inc, I think there was an investigation. I think Irv and his brother got in some legal trouble. I think 50 was entering the game. I don't know if it would have been a good look for Nas at that period, because 50 was hell bent on taking Murder Inc out. I mean, he was on them, and it might have been a battle between 50 and Nas, which I don't think Nas could have survived during that time, because 50 was just his mixtape run. He's on Aftermath, Shady. He's got Get Rich or Die Trying coming out. The Massacre's about to drop. I don't think it would have been a good look for Nas during that time period. And then the sound of Murder Inc. at the time, they had that one record, I think it was Vita. What was on that record? It was Vita, I think Ashanti, Ja Rule. That record wasn't that good. I forgot what was the name of that record.
You're talking about The Pledge.
The play. I didn't feel that record. So if Nas would have had records that sounded like The Pledge, I think that was a really bad era of Nas. I just don't. It didn't really seem like a good fit. You had Cadillac Ty. You had I think was Lloyd on Murder Inc. I think Lloyd was on Murder Inc. at that point. Lloyd. You had Ashanti. You had Vita. Then you had Charlie Baltimore. You had Ja. Nas don't fit that puzzle. Like somebody's the odd man out. It wasn't a good cultural fit for me from a music perspective. I just don't think that would have been the right move.
I mean, possibly, you know what I mean? That could have been the case. As far as 50 goes, I think 50 may have hit a brick wall. You know, you're jabbing at Ja Rule because you feel a way about Ja Rule, which I understand. That makes sense. But if you're throwing them jabs at Nas, then Nas may be able to say, hold on, man, you might be 50 Cent, but you know, you're not throwing no jabs over here, bro. You know what I mean? I'm a different type of, you know, so Nas may have put a brick wall in front of 50 that he might have to do battle with. You know, so you know, you never know. You know, I think that was a very tumultuous time because at the end of the day, music aside, there is the internet factor, which is they're trying to sell records. The internet is interneting. The blog era is coming in. The game is shifting, and I think that shift caused a lot of disturbance. And also, you know, like you said, Murder Inc. was going through what they were going through with the FBI, so that was shutting down their maneuverability. So
no doubt. And I was remiss. I don't think I mentioned Charlie Baltimore. That's somebody. Charlie Baltimore, from a female MC perspective, could have been a lot more memorable, ingrained in the hip hop lore had she put out some more albums. Because I think one of the albums that came out, I think it came out way after it was supposed to be. I think she was on Undies or Entertainment, Biggie and Lance Rivera's label. She had a couple of heaters on there. She had a song with Ghostface.
Oh yeah.
She had a song called Thorough Bees. I think who's on that? I think Lady of Rage was on that joint. The Brat. Queen Pin, Biggie was on the hook. They sampled Biggie and put him on the hook. Thorough, adapt to any Thorough. You know what I'm saying? So Charlie Baltimore, she could have been. She's not really thought of. I mean, she's thought of. People, hip hop heads know that Charlie Baltimore was one of those dope female MCs, but she doesn't get the credit. You know, she kind of got overshadowed in that era by, you know, Lil' Kim and Foxy and Eve and the Brat. She really don't get that type of notoriety. But folks that know that Charlie Baltimore is one of those ones.
Definitely. Somebody said, what is internet is interneting. So people like to make, or what does that mean when I just said that? People like to make numbers arguments about that time period. Well, this person sold this much. That person sold this much. I think what we have to keep in mind is in those years, a lot of people were downloading music for free. So when you say this person did this much and this, what we need to also say is we don't know how much this person really did. You know what I mean? Because that's a factor that we have left out with the internet. I'm also going to talk about, do numbers really matter? Like, why does the fans care about numbers now? Like, they're really, well, how much did he sell? Like, hold on. Like, and I'm going to get to Steve Stoute too. Steve Stoute, respectfully, because these guys have put in work in the game, so I don't want to undercut their work, right? But Steve Stoute, to even question if lyrics matter, hip hop, what I want to tell you is never again allow anybody to come in this culture and question if lyrics matter, right? That isn't, and then people agree with him too, that lyrics don't matter. That's been all week. The notion that lyrics don't matter in hip hop it got me feeling away, right? So never again allow any executive, and again, I respect the man's work, but never allow no executive to tell you that lyrics don't matter, and then a bunch of people start running, and people with voices in the culture and start running with the notion that lyrics don't matter. I got a problem with that.
Do you have the quote? What was the whole quote that he said? Did he give any examples of why he said lyrics don't matter? Did he cite any specific MCs or artists where he thought that the lyrics don't matter?
How are you going to use Nas to back up a notion that lyrics don't matter? But he's putting it on the fans in the same way that Moment of Clarity did for Jay, which I don't think people caught. But he's putting it on the fans, basically saying, because you didn't buy these records and a lot, because you didn't buy enough of these records, he's questioning, well, does lyrics matter? Because it must not have mattered, being that you didn't buy major numbers of Illmatic. And again, I'm not going to crash on him too hard, because he did play a role in Nas's second album. It was written. He played a role, and I respect the role, because the role was to get Nas to a higher plateau. But because you did that, does that mean that now we're questioning if those lyrics matter? And we're questioning that based upon the sales, based upon formulaic music, based upon microwavable artists, respectfully, and based upon what I mean by microwavable and formulaic is people are looking for formulas when they're creating songs. Use this cadence, try this hook, get this R&B singer, make it the song this long, make the lyricism at this level of IQ. When did formulas outweigh the feeling? Because even when it comes to It Was Written, I never believed the Escobar angle that Nas was selling. Now, it was a great album, a classic album, classic bars, great classic legendary artist, one of the GOATs, but I never believed the drug talk he was selling on that album. So if I was happy with Illmatic, why couldn't Illmatic 2 do what It Was Written did? So
It Was Written wasn't all drug talk though. It wasn't all Escobar. It was a little bit of elements in there, but it wasn't the whole album, right? You guys out, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't the whole,
So it was a little bit, is what you're saying. A little bit of that talk. It wasn't a lot.
Well, they said that Nas, It Was Written kind of patterned itself with what was going on at the time with Raekwon. You know what I'm saying? So
that whole genre of rap period covered almost the whole game. So it wasn't just Nas. Everybody was going in with that talk. So do I blame Nas? No. But for Steve Stoute to even form the question using Nas, if lyrics matter, and for people to run with that, I take a little bit of issue with.
Pull up the quote real quick. Let's dissect the quote. But we want to get into this Ka album because people in the chat are talking about the Ka joint, and I will admit, I'll be honest. I'm very honest with the audience here. I've been cleaning my garage all day.
Yeah.
And what have I been listening to all weekend? I've been listening to I was listening to It Was Written this weekend, and I've been listening to the Carter 3, and I've been listening to Moment of Truth by Gangstar while I was cleaning my garage out, getting all the trash out. Those are the 3 albums that I had played. And I also listened to 10 by West Side Gun. So I didn't get a chance to listen to Ka. So what was your thoughts on the album?
I'm gonna break that down. One last comment is, can everybody remember when they first heard Exhibit C? When you heard that, feeling wise, did you think about numbers or did you think about the feeling? But we're gonna get into Ka, right? Ka, I'll take the entendres of Jay and the poetics of Nas and put them together, right? If you can imagine that. This is what we're getting with Ka. This is why lyrics matter. His new album is called The Thief Next to Jesus, right? Y'all know the story. Jesus was crucified. On either side of him was 2 criminals, because to be crucified in this time, you were found guilty of a crime, right? So on one side of him, a man asked to be forgiven, and he would be in the house of the Lord, and he was granted that by Jesus dying on the cross. That's the story. So the thief next to Jesus. Religious undertones. Is Ka singing melodically? No. Is he a trap rapper? No. Does he have these club beats? No. Is he rich? No. He's a firefighter. Is it okay to not be rich and still be respected? Does he have to drive a Phantom for you to respect his bars? So he did cover a lot of the material on this album right here, Descendants of Cain, which I actually think might have got the one up on this album. But y'all need to, as far as lyrics go, if you are into lyricism, almost every bar this man spits is poetically on point, and the double meanings in what he's saying are incredible. So I just wanted to go with that album. The first song, Bread, Wine, Body, and Blood. So, you know what that is, right? He said, it's a shared struggle we all go through. Don't be the weapon they use to harm you. So going back to our first talking point, when we were talking about Michael Rubin and what he said about the culture, don't be the weapon they used against us. So don't be hating to the point where another person can come in and speak on your culture and they say, well, black people hate on black people. Don't make him right. Don't make him right, because if he's right, then he has the right to say what he said. You know what I mean? That's one issue. But that song, it deals with where we're at in hip hop, right? The hustler raps have now turned into the addict raps, where it's like a lot of people are doing the drugs now rather than selling them. I'm not saying either one is great, but that's the females have went from Queen Latifah to a caricature of, like, you know, a stripper or something like that. I'm not hating on the situation, but it's like I think we could raise the bar a little bit higher than that. And I think women offer more in their story than that. Just like I said, this guy's a firefighter, right? He's not someone that's buying Louis bags and renting out mansions to have parties in. He's a firefighter. Why can't that story be in hip hop? Why can't a doctor story be in hip hop? An architect, a teacher, a chef. Oh, why does it always have to be I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich. I got girls, I got gold, I got watches, and that's so impressive to everybody. You know what I mean? So the man got bars. What did he say? He said, and the last part, he said, our music mirrors what's happening to us. And that's kind of what I spoke on, is we share the same struggle, but don't let that turn into a weapon that's used against you. The second song, Beautiful. He says, you know, they sling mud, I give them back love. It's pure when you see the flaws, but it's still beautiful. So the sample in the song it keeps going beautiful. He's sampling a lot of church stuff, a lot of blues. This goes back to, like, hip hop was born out of fire, literal fire, like literally the Bronx being on fire is what hip hop grew from. So not everything is always party this, party that. There is a real history with this that is painful. You know what I mean? So, and I liken it to the blues. If y'all remember the blues, like just like movies have different genres, hip hop needs different genres. So when I make the rap, adult contemporary rap argument, I know some people don't like that, but just like you have different type of movies, thrillers, horror movies, comedies, action movies, why can't we have different genres of the rap, right? So Tested Testimony, he said, mom deserves the earth, he said, mom deserves earth, can't make it with a dying son. It's a universal bar, literally, but his bars are subtle, you know what I mean? But if you really catch what he's saying, it's incredible. And I believe this one person is one of the greatest MCs we've seen come through this culture. It's just, he's not out here always trying to entertain. I know that was a lot of the argument. Well, you can't just have lyrics, you have to entertain. And there is an element of entertain. But when you got a whole album, does every song have to be just entertainment? This song deals with the sanctioning of slavery that religion was involved in. And one major point, I would never question someone's religion or go against their religion, because I too believe in God. But if someone does question your religion or your faith or the history of it, do you know how to articulate a response that's not emotional, but that's based in something concrete? And I believe people can do that once they get out of their emotions. Praying for Nothing, the collection plate. He said the hook. We talk about people need hooks, right? All he said in the hook is, if you really wanted to bless me, you would have left me the collection plate. If you really wanted to bless me, would have left me the collection plate. Sometimes a simple hook completes the mission, y'all. Not everything has to be some grand singing or some grand cadence of different. Sometimes a simple hook does what it needs to do. But that's a reality, right? You have people that have prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and feel like their prayers wasn't answered. We have to reconcile these things. Broken Rose Window, that deals with the Underground Railroad. There's one side of religion that may be looked at as bad. There's also good sides as well. You know, religion had to do a lot with freeing people. Also, I'm talking about freeing them physically as a people from the chains that they were in. On that song, he says, from a section, weapons, definitely the closing arguments. In the dirt, it's seeds that seeds, but can't see who's supposed to be guarding us. So the garden is an entendre, guarding us or guarding us because it's seeds in the dirt. So with double entendres, this man is surgical with it, just like he is with the punches, with the poetics. When we talk about poetic MCs, like we were just talking about Nas, with poetics, this man's right on point. The single, Such Devotion, fire. The Cross to Bear, he said, won't take a slave name to the grave. That's what they spawn. Hidden Deceivers, can't believe in they Jesus. That's a blonde. The next song, Fragile Faith, right? Nothing shook about me but my faith. So so in those two quotes, right? Not to harp on the Jesus thing, but the name, taking a slave name to the grave. We have never reconciled with our last names. I don't know everybody out there, but ask yourself, what is my last name? Now, whose name is that? Is that really your family's name, or is that someone else's name? So we have never reconciled these things, and I mean maybe we never will. But the reason why it's important is because we have to understand where we've been before to be able to really know where we should go. And we keep skipping things that are important where we've been, and we got to know these things, man. And the last, almost the last song. There was a couple songs after that. Fragile Faith. That's just being real. You know what I mean? Sometimes your faith is tested, and sometimes, you know, you're fragile with that faith, and that's just real. Like, we gotta be real, y'all. You know what I mean? And that's what I appreciate about Ka, is it's just real. Mad Max, what up? He said, well, Christ's real name is not Jesus. Okay, look, regardless of name, look, I would never disrespect anybody's faith because I too believe what you believe. Only thing is, I also believe in asking questions, right? So if Christ is not his last name, it's a title. And when you speak to Christ, you close your eyes and go within yourself to speak to Jesus. Well, then what does that make you? Now, people, take your time in answering that. And I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not saying anything. But if you really ask yourself these questions, we start to, it's not to say that the religion is not real. It's not to say that this is some BS that we shouldn't believe in. No, it's to have a more accurate picture of what the religion is. That's all. That's all it is, man. You know what I mean? So, The Thief Next to Jesus, man, it's a dope project. Like I said, I like Descendants of Cain a little bit more. If y'all listen to Descendants of Cain, that is crazy classic. He also had other albums. Honor Killed the Samurai. What, this one over here, Knight's Gambit, that was crazy. Really get into that if you're into lyrics. So when someone tells you lyrics don't matter, you could be like, listen to Ka, bro. Listen to Ka and tell me lyrics don't matter. I think Drake could come back with dope lyrics. Lyrics matter.
And we're gonna get into Drake, but before we get into Drake, and shout out to Ka, if you haven't listened to the album, Be Like Me, listen to it after the show, and check it out. I'll pull it back on the screen real quick so people can see it. The Thief Next to Jesus, check it out. But I want to give a moment of silence real quick. I know that there was some news that came up down the pipeline today that Brad Jordan, aka Scarface, legendary hip-hop pioneer and MC of the Ghetto Boys of Solo fame, is in the hospital. Don't know his condition, but I want to just give a brief moment of silence, man. He's someone who's inspired me. I was a little kid listening to the Ghetto Boys. I shouldn't have been listening to him. I was a little kid listening to Face, and I always was drawn to his artistry, right? The way he conceptualized. One of my favorite songs ever. My ex-girlfriend at the time was like, "Why do you always listen to this song? It was a minute to pray, a second to die." It was like I'm big into movies and cinema, and Scarface is a cinematic rapper and was a cinematic rapper. And a minute to pray, a second to die is one of my favorite videos, one of my all-time favorite songs. I don't know why I don't know if it was because it was a sample, but it was just the picture that he was painting. You know, I mean, he rolled down, he rolled to his mom's house and shot him. It was just very vivid, very eerie. It was like a horror movie, right? And but I just want to give a moment of silence to Scarface, man. He just did a Tiny Desk not too long ago. We were trying to set up an interview with him in Houston. We got to connect in Houston. We are going to go out to Houston, do a whole bunch of interviews with Houston MCs and pioneers in the hip hop game that really birthed hip hop culture in Houston, in Texas. And we were hoping to kind of link up with them. Hopefully we still will, but we don't know what the condition is. But I just want to give a 30-second, 20-second moments of silence to Scarface real quick.
But now keep it in mind, Joseph.
All right, man. Prayers to his family, prayers to Scarface, man. We love his music, man. We love the artist, man, and it is what it is, man. Yeah, shout out to Scarface.
Shout out
00 with the super chat says, shaking my head, hey, y'all break down Cobb, but not Joel and Crook. You know, we'll do that. We'll do that next week, okay?
You question what I break down? You sure? But okay, all right, go ahead. I could break it down right now. But
I know people have been asking for that for a little bit, so we'll do that. I know, and we're gonna have more album breakdowns in the future. That's something we're gonna tap into. But let's segue to another topic. Let's go to another topic. You know, the thumbnail shows Drake. Drake is reloaded. I had some conversations with Mike, Servon, offline, and some of them are the opinion that Drake needs to just settle down. He just needs to stop. He doesn't need to continue. I'm of the mind that keep going. Drake's been in the game since 2009, 2008, around that time, and he's always been an artist that continued to put out music. Now that the battle with Kendrick Lamar has culminated, I don't see a need to stop. Now, there's some people, you know, Mike's opinion is that Drake needs to kind of calm down, take a hiatus, but he's never been that type of artist where people miss him, where he goes on a hiatus and he's gone for a year or two and he's not putting out music. He's always had a feature. He's always been featured on somebody else's record. He's always been putting out either a mixtape. He's been dropping albums. I think he should continue doing what he does. Now, is it going to be well received? I thought the records that he put out, SOD, what was the other record? Castadian Rhythm, which is a playoff of 616 in LA that Kendrick dropped. And then he had another one with Playboy Cardi. I thought the records were cool. Like, again, Drake's not for me. You know, when I go out with the lady and I'm on vacation, I'm with my daughter, you know, Drake is being played, you know, if you're at a barbecue in the backyard. But I think Drake should continue doing what you're doing. When you're a fighter, don't go out like that. I mean, I think it'll be a weak move if he just stopped doing what he does. I think he would concede defeat. I think he'll be throwing in the white flag if he didn't do what he did. But I thought the records were cool. I thought the record with Lotto was dope. The record with 21 Savage is dope. I think these records are just they're Drake records. I haven't been out. I don't know if they're bubbling on the streets or not. Y'all let us know in the chat if you've been out in New York, Chicago, LA, Oakland, Texas, Miami, if these records are percolating like that. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? My ass is old. I've been cleaning the garage and in the yard all week. So I don't know. I don't know if they bump. My daughter turns 21 tomorrow. Shout out to my daughter. Turns 21. She's having a good time. Be safe out there. She's in Nashville. If you're in Nashville, please don't run up on my daughter. I don't want to pull up tonight. You know what I'm saying? She's got her girls out. They got an Airbnb. I was thinking about crashing the party, but I think that might be kind of lame. That might be kind of lame. But yeah, shout out to my daughter. She turns 21 tomorrow. In Nashville. Be safe. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe she's hearing the records while she's out. What are your thoughts about the Drake records?
Well, my thoughts about the Drake, and hold on, still here talking about those records flop, talking about Kai and Tapestry, and that's what I'm saying. The audience cares about numbers now, like they don't even care about the music. But anyway, Drake, I lean on both sides, right? I know he would still be rapping, of course, like he's not gonna stop rapping, y'all. The songs are cool. I did hear the one he got with Benny. Good to finally hear that. Even though they took it down. I did hear SOD, Circadian Rhythm, and the other one he had where he was rapping. No Face. Even the hook there, no face. It's a simple hook, y'all. It's not rocket science. But Drake knows what he needs to do, so I'm kind of like a little disappointed by these songs only because well, let me take that back because he is still singing some and he does have that audience, and I know that's what people expect from him. But he had a song called Sandra's Rose on Views. No, it wasn't Views. It was something else. But he had a song called Sandra's Rose. And he said, a classic for me is just 10 of These. If Drake wanted to make a classic album, that would just be a layup. That's not something Drake has to really think about to do. So I think to come back in the game, he needs to do that. Now, people will question, well, he's never had a classic, because I've heard people say that before, which I'm not going to knock someone who says that. I think Drake is trying to do both, singing and rapping. So to make a classic album where there are R&B songs and there are rapping songs, I think that's kind of difficult to do in this era. But if he wanted to take 10 soul sample beats and just make timestamp records 10 times, I can almost guarantee you that's going to go down as classic. And he knows that. So now I would think if you want to do that, Drake, just to show people that rapping is not something you have a problem doing.
I had a back and forth with Mike yesterday. We have a disagreement. Like, I think that Drake making music is a good thing. And I think he doesn't think this puts any pressure on Kendrick Lamar. I think the opposite. I think Kendrick Lamar won the battle. He had the momentum. He had Not Like Us still so bopping in the streets. I thought it was time for him to make an album. He previewed one of the songs I think he did with Mustard in the video, but he hasn't put out any music. But I think to Mike's point, Mike is saying he's not expected to make any music, and which is a different argument that Mike is making, because I believe Mike was saying, where's the music? Mike is kind of flipping a little bit on that, but I'll let him speak to that when he gets on the show. But I think this puts pressure. I don't think it puts pressure on Kendrick. I just think it either does one or two things. It either makes people say, it feeds the people that don't like Drake anyway and say, yo, you need to go away. Or two, it shines a light that, yo, I'm still making music. I'm still doing what I do, what I've been doing since 2009. And yet Kendrick ain't got no music. So it's an interesting situation.
No, I can see that. As far as the pressure goes, I don't really think it's too much pressure on their end. We know these guys are already accomplished guys, but I kind of get what you're saying with that. Drake, I think, is just back to business as usual. He's known for just dropping a lot of records. There has been some talk about the effectiveness of these records, and I do think that if you're going to be singing, people are going to look at it as, well, man, he must have really lost that battle, man. He's out here singing, yada, yada, yada. Even if he's rapping, some people are going to say that. But I think he's just getting back into business. I mean, this is Drake. This is somebody who's been dropping a bunch of records. As far as Kendrick's side, he's been kind of like he drops when he wants to drop. It was never really Kendrick was never really, I'm rushing to drop music every time you see me. That was never really his style anyway. So I could see both sides of it. I don't think either one is moving differently than they would move on a normal under a normal circumstance. Like, you know what I mean? I was just saying in Drake's case, I think you can rap your way out of this one. Now, other people might disagree. They would say, nah, Kendrick gave him too much work for him to rap his way out of this one. But I do think Drake has enough rap ability where if he wanted to, he could make something that's fire and people would be like, okay, it's game time. So that's just me,
No doubt. Well, we'll continue to monitor the situation. I think that it is what it is, man. I'm hoping I want to hear some Kendrick Lamar music, to be quite honest with you. I know somebody in the chat says, how do we know he doesn't have any music? You know, I would have thought, now maybe that's the competitor in me, right? If I got my foot on somebody's neck and I got the game in a chokehold and I got one of my biggest records in my career, I'm gonna put out some music because he put out music. He put out 660 in LA. He put out Meet the Grams. He put out Not Like Us. He put out Euphoria. You know what I mean? He had records out, but they were all catered to Drake. I would have thought that there would have been some other records that would have come out, maybe a mixtape, maybe something with Black Hippie. It'd have been some type of other music that come out. Since you got all eyes on you, as like Pac would use back in the day, I thought he would come out with some music. But maybe that's not the case.
No, like I said, I could see that, but that concert that he did where he brought out all the different artists, you know, from LA or from Compton, and had Dr. Dre out there. He did the whole, like, that was a big concert. You know, we covered that. We was there for that. And, you know, maybe he's looking at it as, you know, I did that. You know, with Kendrick's music, it's real. It's real conceptual. He thinks about it. He sits back. So I get people saying he should drop while the iron is hot, but you know, I think he's just more of a conceptual, planned out guy. Like, you know, he's probably gonna plan a tour right after new music. So that's just what it is in my view. You know,
no doubt. So what are we going to next? I think we wanted to talk about Joe Budden. Joe Budden recently was awarded a gold plaque, and I thought, being quite honest with you, I thought that this record had been gold or platinum.
Yeah.
I mean, I was back in, man. I didn't even have any kids back when this record was out.
Right.
I thought this record was already gold and platinum. It was surprising to me that he got a plaque for Pump It Up. I know some people kind of dissing him, not kind of dissing him. I think Young Miami said she was 9 years old when the record came out. That was kind of a weak shot. I mean, I thought it was funny. But what are your thoughts on this Joe situation? I know Joe said something back to him. It was a funny situation.
Well, my thing about Joe is, she could be funny. Yeah, I get the joke. It was an old song. Was I a huge fan of the song? No, I like Just Blaze beats, but that song was cool. I'm not mad at it just going gold. I think going gold, whether it's the same year or 20 years down the line, I still think it's an accomplishment. My thing with Joe is, I do respect what Joe has done in the game. It just first and foremost, if we're going to talk about lyrics, Joe was nice, man. Come on now. I don't think anybody's going to act like Joe wasn't a dope MC. Like, we kind of know Joe was dope, and as far as just like, I was just talking about different lanes in the music. You have different emotions for stuff. Like Ka, it's a real, he deals with a lot of pain. He deals with a lot of his upbringing had a lot of turmoil. He deals with that. Joe, as far as like the mental space is concerned, or like even the realm of where Big Sean is at now, or where Charlemagne, he covers the mental health thing a lot. Joe was there, like Joe in that lane of like a mental health. He's dealing with different struggles. It could be depression, it could be addiction, it could be he was in that lane, and he articulated those struggles like very well. And I just wanted to give him credit for that, because I don't hear that given to him a lot. And he was dope with the bars. Like, come on, y'all. Like, and I wasn't always the biggest Joe Budden fan. Like, some of my friends were, and then just hanging around my friends, over time, I got to be like, okay, Joe is nice, but Joe was dope, man. So I'm happy that his single, went gold. Like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan of that record, but those were the times we lived in. And people clowning him like, oh man, your song's 20 years old. Hey man, he got to have a 20-year-long career. I thought that was a good thing, He did the pod space thing. So come on, man.
Yo, shout out to Joe. And I want to ask the audience this question, because I'm interested in the new era of Joe Budden. Do you guys watch his podcast? I know he had a deal with Spotify. He had done a podcast back in the day. He was one of the first rappers to kind of go into the pod space. He did a radio show, I think, for a little bit on I think on Hot 97, I think he did. And then he left that. Then he started his podcast, and then he did something with Rory and Mal. I know him and Charlemagne were going to do some things, but that didn't kind of work out. Then he was on Everyday Struggle. and now he's doing his own. His podcast is blown up. What do y'all think? I want to ask the audience. I'm always studying other podcasts. I'm always looking at different things to do to improve according to hip hop what we do. What do y'all like about the Joe Budden show? I think what I see from the Joe Budden show, he's kind of following a podcast. He's taken a radio show and turned it into a podcast format. So you got Queen's Flip, who's like the comedic relief, because on the radio there was always somebody that was like was a comedian. You know what I'm saying? Was a local comedian or a national comedian. So take for example. The Tom Joyner Morning Show, right? You had what's my man name? I'm getting old. On the Tom Joyner Morning Show, you know what I'm saying? Then you had a female, you know what I'm saying, which was Sybil back in the day. Now you got Melissa Ford. Then you got some other cats. So I think what Joe is doing, he's taking the radio format and he's bringing it to a podcast. But what do y'all think about his podcast? Do y'all like it? I mean, do y'all think it's dope?
Well. For me personally, I can answer in the chat too. I like the Joe pod show. I take it on a case by case basis. Sometimes I like the show. Sometimes I'm cool off it. There's a lot to cover in hip hop. So if he's covering something that I'm really not interested, like he may be going in on Yachty. He may be talking about a situation. He may be talking about Charlemagne. He may be going in on a situation that's not really related to a hip hop or a current album or something like that. So I may not listen at that time. But what I do appreciate about Joe Budden is he's experienced in the game. He's had his own experiences, so he could speak to that. And I do think he's being honest. Like I do think what you hear in his opinions on the show is his real opinion. I don't think he's making it up for the camera or nothing like that. So I appreciate that. We'll call it authenticity because that's what it is. But I appreciate that. As far as the lineup, sometimes people have good arguments. Sometimes people don't. Like there was some stuff I agree with musically that they talk about, and there's some things that I don't. I mean, there's been opinions on Kendrick and Nas that I've been opposed to, but I mean, it's their show. They give their opinion. So but I think it's just a conversation. He's having dope conversations, and anybody who does that in this space, if it's a good conversation, then I could rock with it. If it's something I'm not really interested in, then I'll go somewhere else. You know what I mean? But
now, other than what we do, I know y'all, and I appreciate hit like and subscribe. Please hit like and subscribe. It goes a long way. Hit like and subscribe. Tell a friend. Tell a friend. Again, this is According to Hip Hop. We have a multiple podcast approach. We're gonna have a network of podcasts. We're gonna be running one day. This shit gonna be running all day long. We have podcasts in the morning, night, during the lunch hour, dinner, midnight, whatever the case may be. But hit like and subscribe. Get us up to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. And we're making some moves on X as well. What podcasts are you guys watching? I'm really interested because I watch the I'll tell you what, I do check out Joe Budden. I do check out Joe Budden. Who else do I watch? I'm trying to think. I mean, from a music perspective, it's just really I just catch Joe Budden on YouTube here and there. I mean, I don't tune in and I don't have the alerts on and watch it. I do check out what Rap Roundtable does. I think it's interesting. They're dynamic on their show. Shout out to Jarv and those guys. I do check out. I just think sometimes I think the space could be a little bit more innovative. I used to watch my man Ebro. I watch Ebro's Ebro's a good interviewer. Ebro does good things. When he interviews people, I don't really agree with a lot of his takes. I don't really agree with his positions on a lot of things culturally, but from an interviewing perspective, I think Zane Lowe does a good job. Yeah. I used to watch I don't really like Drink Champs. Drink Champs to me, I got love for Nori. Nori doesn't really give his subject time to breathe, right? He always interjects, and maybe that's the allure of the show. I don't know, but to me, Drink Champs doesn't do it for me. Shout out to Gillian Wallow.
He has the guests. That's I'm not to cut you, but Drink Champ has the guests to make the show make people tune in. Nori, I like Nori, but when you have the guests, you know what I mean? Like I would love to be able to just y'all say y'all want to break down on the Crooked Eye album. I'll call Crooked Eye and just have him break it down himself for you. But if it's gonna be hate, I'm not gonna invite Crooked Eye to break nothing down for nobody. You know what I mean? So it's like I would call these artists directly and have them break it down for you. If that's what the platform could take without it turning into something negative. But hey, you know what I mean?
What do you think about $1 million worth of game? Do you ever check that? I mean, I like what Wallow says sometimes. Gilly's entertaining. It's just a lot of interesting spaces. Shout out to Fresh Out. Fresh Out actually has a dope podcast. Those brothers actually do a good job.
Yeah, I haven't seen them in a while, man. But I used to, be on their show, just commenting. They've invited me on the show, but I don't know what happened because I ain't seen them pop up in a while. But like I said, it's just a conversation at the end of the day. There are nuances in the conversation. There are differences in the conversation. I cover albums, right? That's my whole thing is I cover albums that people would normally skip over. That's what I bring. I came in with a certain thing about literary devices, lyrics, or whatever. Somebody else they comes in maybe with their experience on beat making, right? Ease. He said something about the Foreign Exchange album today. Foreign Exchange, Little Brother, and Nikolai. That's a classic album to me. I said something about Magnificent Jazzy Jeff album. Classic album. If you ain't got that, get that album. I have lifelong friends that tell me that they love me because I gave them that album. But it's like the podcasts have different things that they bring to the table, different experiences, and a different viewpoint. So, depending on what they're talking about, I think you could tap in. Fresh Out was dope. I got my homies at the Haters Ball, Rap Roundtable, the Joe Budden podcast. Right now, there's also Wayno. Shout out to Wayno. Rob Markman, they got their thing up and running, but I like that approach of now we're having an open dialogue about the music, about the artists, about the business, about the state of the culture, and we can throw shots at each other, which I'm also down to do. But if we collaborated on something, a concert of like a summer jam that the pod spaces put together. See, now we're playing with power now. It's not then it goes from just being a pod space to now you're dealing with music industry power. So when people, we can go there. If that's really an option that people take serious, we could really go there. So peace to everybody in the pod space. I love everybody taking the initiative to give their thoughts on the game. Because it feels like when high school or in college where you go and you're talking about what happened last week with this album and it feels like that, you know what I mean? So I appreciate that, you know what I mean?
But yeah, again, I hate to kind of deviate from the music tonight, but I'm interested in tapping in with the audience. I want to tap in the audience for a little bit. What podcasts outside of music do you guys listen to? It's like for sports, for example, I listen to Marcellus Wiley. I listen to I do tap into Joe Rogan from time to time. I listen to Joe Rogan on the sports. What else do I listen to? I like Nightcap with Shannon Sharp and Ocho Cinco. I like the dynamic between the two. You got Ocho, who's not really he's a phenomenal football player, one of the greatest Cincinnati Bengals receivers of all time. He's the more of the playful one, and then Shannon is the more serious guy, but then he interjects with some jokes. And again, it's the older and the younger dynamic. Shannon's like 56 years old. Ocho Cinco's in his 40s, you know what I'm saying? So it's a different era. So that kind of plays well on camera. So I'm always looking for things like that. The Cameron Mays podcast is cool. So yeah, I'm just interested in the audience, man. We're always trying to figure out different things to kind of incorporate in what we're doing. And yeah.
Well, I think that too many times in hip hop, we think about what's already been done. And we're kind of doing, not kind of, we are doing that with music. We'll be like, well, songs should be like this because this is how we're used to seeing it being done, or this is how it was done in 1992. I think that we should look for things that have not been done. Let's look for artists that a type of artist that has not been seen, type of music that has not been seen, styles that have not been heard, and ways of delivering that music business wise and performance wise that have not been seen. And that's what I'm most of all interested in, is what is new that the pod space can generate that has never been seen. I'm from the blog era. So in the blog era, you heard there was a lot of new artists that came out of nowhere that the blogs helped push those artists. So in the pod space, what is new? Like, who are the new people for the next generation? Let's produce those people. Let's produce the next generation of rappers. And that's what I'm interested in seeing and doing. You know what I mean?
No doubt, no doubt. Before we open up the phone lines, I want to kind of talk about one thing. We're getting into political season, Leroy. I don't want to turn this into a corner of politics, but a lot of hip hop folks are out and about. They're on the stump. They're out here waving their flag. They waving their flag for whatever candidate they like. Little John was at the Democratic National Convention this week.
Yeah.
And then you had who else you had? You had Uncle Luke. Uncle Luke popped up.
Big Sean.
Big Sean. Uncle Luke popped up and said something about a friend to the show, Tariq Nasheed. We did a dope interview with him. We got another interview hopefully coming up with him in a few weeks. We like what Tariq does, but Uncle Luke had this to say about Tariq Nasheed.
A group of black men, and most of them hang out on Twitter. Tariq Nasheed.
Oh my God, I do not like him. I swear, I feel like he's an agent.
Yeah. At the end of the day, they get on there. They fool these people with these doctors and these books and all that, and they try and separate the black community. Mind you, here's the guy I'm talking about, descendants of slaves, married to a white lady, which I'm like, are y'all following him? You know what I'm saying? So I like a group of black.
I got. Shout out to Luke, Uncle Luke. I got a lot of love for what Luke does in the community down in Florida. What he did for the game for us independent hip hop musicians. What he's done, it can't be discounted. But I got a real big problem with what he's saying in this clip. For one, it seems to me that when someone has a disagreement with the dominant opinion that's permeating throughout society, that you get labeled as an agent. I think that's a lazy argument. I don't think he's when you ask questions or you push back and you want to examine the narratives given to you, I think it's okay. I think it's okay to have conversations about different things and about different people. I don't think you have to go along to get along. I don't think you have to shut up and be quiet. Now, some can maybe label this as a conservative take, but this is more of a Socratic take. I think you can also explore and examine, what are we seeing? What kind of information are we getting? So I think that's a really lazy argument that Luke is making. For one, the brother's not married to a white woman. If he was, that's his prerogative, but he's not married to a white woman. That's false. And I just think that it's sad that, people in our community can't have discussions anymore and exchange ideas. I think there used to be an exchange of ideas. There was a marketplace of ideas where people can have a conversation. But now if you don't, now it's like, it's like a new slave mentality. If you don't follow what's been told to you, then you're gonna get ostracized or cast out or labeled, called an agent or called something out your name. It's just really whack to me. But shout out to Tariq, man. Shout out to Uncle Luke too. I think them brothers need to sit down and have a conversation. I don't know if they've ever spoke before on the podcast, but it's just unfortunate we're gonna be seeing a lot of this over the next 70-something days. A lot of smoke and mirrors, a lot of things. A lot of this is WWE. At the end of the day,
naturally,
we're one community. We don't need to have this system tear us apart, man. But I just think that's whack, man. And it could be. I don't know. What y'all think in the chat, man? What y'all think in the chat?
I think we need to remember that we are one community. I asked what is Black culture when about the Mike Rubin concert, because I'm not certain that we can answer that accurately or even answer it at all. So that's why I asked in the pod space this week, coming up, or this next week, what is Black culture, so that we're clear on it. But to get to this point, I respect Luke and what he's done in the game. The parental advisory battle that he fought back in the day on behalf of hip hop, I appreciate what he's done, but I also appreciate what Tariq Nasheed has done. I mean, I look at what a person brought to the table, what they're saying, what they have done. I appreciate what Tariq has done. Now, I realize that people think that he's a caricature of a player, a pimp, or whatever this case may be. But he also brought a lot of knowledge to the game. And documentarian skills to the game. He's done a lot in Los Angeles. Same way, people, they may disagree what Umar Johnson says, but he's dropped a lot of knowledge too. So Tariq has also done that, and I got to give him credit for that. And a lot of times we feel like we have to knock someone else down because they're taking something away from us, when that's really not the case. Politically, I don't think we should be separate. This person's not really Black, or this person, their relationship partner is not Black, or they're not. Because what are we up against? We're up against a corporate oligarchy or hierarchy where you're really being ran by billionaires. So why would you sit here and argue with people who don't have anything close to $1 billion? And you're making this argument against people who have been rich there and they were born wealthy. Right? And you're sitting up here arguing with your own people because you have an issue. The DNC convention, I caught maybe half of it. There were some artists there, Little John, Common, Big Sean, Context. I think he performed Fortunate from his new album. I think context matters. So when you see the song performed there in that context, you can see how the music and the vibe it fits. But I think there are some things that we need to be more concerned with, right? If we're concerned about the economy, well, then let's talk about the right to unionize. Let's talk about getting big corporate dollars out of politics. Let's talk about the wages, teacher wages. Let's talk about affordable education. Let's talk. So if we're going to do these things, there are many issues that we can put on the table that are substantive, that I think we can all agree on, that we don't have to fight about, that makes sense. So if you're having a political discussion with someone who's intelligent, who knows what they're talking about, the way you beat them on that argument and win their vote, because it's not about turning them into an enemy. And that's what we do a lot of time. We turn the people we're talking to into an enemy. That's not your enemy. Turn them into an ally. So when you make your point, make a substantive point that's based in fact. When they go back and look it up, they'll come back. If they're intelligent, they'll come back and say, you know what? I was wrong. You were right. And now you have my vote. That's how you win in political warfare, quote unquote. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just think it's all a game, and the people are getting played. It's all pop and circumstance. It's all dog and pony shows. We'll see what's what. I've got my ideas. Some ideas sound better than me. Like, I'm not even gonna front. Certain ideas just make logical sense. So when I hear people say certain things on one side, I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. So it's all about logical arguments, right? What makes sense to you? But it's all a game, man. We just gotta sit back and enjoy the show. I'll pop some popcorn. I'll watch it, and I'll indulge.
That's all you could do. But helping think these things out, it gives us a better understanding of where we are, what our place is, what we want. Right. A lot of reason why I support Tariq Nasheed is because, a few years ago he came out with, well, what do we want? If you're going to give our vote, well, what do we get? And see, that's the type of thinking to which I could co-sign at that time. And I said, let me listen to what this brother's saying. And he makes a lot of good points. We do have specific wants and specific issues in America as Black Americans. He points that out. He's campaigned for, he's not a politician, but what I mean, he's campaigned for reparations, for the accurate telling of our history, for the economics of Black America. That matters. You know what I mean? For the blue collar working man. Ka is a blue collar work. He's not like I said, he's not driving a Phantom to the studio. So he makes sound arguments about issues that we should take very serious. And I appreciate that. So I don't think, I got to disagree with Luke on his, he's an agent. And, I kind of got to disagree with my brother on that, because that's not what I've seen from Tariq Nasheed. You know what I mean?
I think I'm going to run for office in 2028 or 2032. And right. I'm going to, my platform is going to give everybody, all foundational Black Americans. I want to be fair. I want to be fair. Right. I think with inflation and I just want to be fair. I think this will be more digestible to the mainstream. 4 acres in a cyber truck.
Okay. 40 acres in a cyber truck.
4 acres in a cyber truck.
Hey,
foundationals. And I think the people will get behind me. I think I'll be good. 4 acres in a cyber truck. Put thumbs up if y'all with me. Let me know if y'all with me in the chat. 4 acres in a cyber truck. 2028.
People have been assassinated in we all know the civil rights era. We all know the Black Panther era. People were killed for saying some of the same things that Tariq Nasheed is saying. So we got to put some respect on that, man. It's like, not everybody is going out saying these type of same things and making these same arguments. People have been killed for making the arguments that Tariq makes. I just want to put that out there.
I think, but we don't want to speak that to exist. I know what you're saying, but I think my platform, I think I'll be safe. I think the people will protect me. 4 acres in a cyber truck.
I'm with it, man. You know what I'm saying? I'll pull up in the cyber truck, man. But we deserve that, man. We deserve when I ask about what is Black culture, right? People are gonna say, well, the hip hop music. I'm gonna strike that off this time only because it is Black culture, but we were around before that. But we'll say soul music, blues, rock. I could say any music, rock and roll, whatever, right? But okay, Black culture, simple things. Mathematics. Do y'all know that's Black culture? Architecture, the medical medicine. That's Black culture. There are things that are you can look up that are Black, that are our culture. Now, why do we not consider that our culture? You know what I mean? I think we need to.
Well, I gotta ask you, who is not considered? I think people do consider that.
I don't know. I think they look at these subjects as these are just subjects that we were born into, that we were taught in school, and what the teacher told me is what I'm going to take on face value and what I'm going to believe. When I hear a lot of us talking, I can tell they were taught a certain way, and they are repeating what they were taught in school without going back further to see where these subjects came from. So, what I mean by culture, right? I mean our culture. The bottom line with our culture, right, is we believe in summum bonum. I hope I'm saying that right, but that means the greater good. What do I mean by that? Is we take the ingredients from all these different things and we find what is the greatest or greater good for the people. That is our culture. That is Black culture, right? And I will argue that with anybody from anywhere. And I won't use emotions to do it. I'm going to use fact. I'm going to use historical fact, names, dates, times, artifacts, people, anthropology, archaeology, and I'm going to use fact to establish that. So we take things, even negative things that have been done to us, and we flip it and make it a positive for us as a people. That's our culture. And not all of it is negative, right? Exploration. Exploration is Black culture. Now, we've already explored the globe, but just in the universe, astrology, astronomy, in the business world, a lot of these Fortune 500 companies, guess whose office is right next to the owners of these? It's a lot of Black people in these offices, right? So we have the ability, and our culture is finding the greater good in a number of circumstances, no matter where we are, to turn out a better reality. That's our culture. And I think we need to get to that and know that. You know what I mean?
No doubt, no doubt. Well, it's that time of the night, guys. It's open mic night. It's open mic night. We're gonna open the mics up. Shout out to Diego. He says, shout out to my favorite podcast, Real Talk. We appreciate that. We appreciate that. We could be doing a whole bunch of things tonight. I could be whining and dining the old lady. I could be playing PlayStation 5 with the kids. Leroy could be doing his thing. We bring this hip hop to you every Saturday for you. Now we're gonna flip some things up because football season's coming. I gotta watch my games. You know what I'm saying? I'm into that.
No doubt.
Shout out to the Georgia Bulldogs. Shout out to the Dallas Cowboys. Those are my teams, by the way. So I gotta carve out some time to watch my football games. So I don't know. We might bring this to you in the morning. We may bring this to you at the real late night tip. I don't know, but it's all good. Let's get to the phone lines. Mad Max, what's good, brother?
Mad Max, my guy. What's up, my G?
Yo, y'all can hear me? We good?
Yeah, we good, man. What's going on? You talking about lyrics don't matter, but say what you're gonna say. What's good, my brother?
All right. So I'm gonna start with the Tariq Nasheed thing. My only beef with him is the diaspora stuff that I see him instigate online. You got the Black Americans and they beefing with Africans and Caribbeans. They naturally, all three of them sides naturally do that. They all like beefing with each other. That's obviously, that's what they do. But Tariq Nasheed, you can't go from being a Pan-African to an FBA, not explain why you switched, and then just go there and then start making diaspora wars on the net. People are not gonna respect that, bro. That's my only issue with him.
No, that's a good point, and I gotta respect that point, Mad Max. You drop something right there. I gotta respect that. You know what I mean? I gotta respect that. I can't hear you, Ron, but I think Mad Max is right in that regard.
Can your thought process evolve over time? Can you have one position? No, no. I don't want to be a hypocrite.
What you mean, bro?
Maybe over time.
Your thought process can change, Ron. Your thought process can change, but with him, I never seen him explain why his thought process changed. He just came on the internet one day and was FBA. And now I can understand you do some research. He's a guy who does a lot of research. So maybe he researched some things about his family tree, and he got into that. That's cool, but you have to explain that, or at least I have to see it. Maybe he did do that, and maybe I'm bugging. I could be wrong. But when I see he move on like some low-key agent stuff. Like one day you decide to be an FBA. It's like, and the FBA thing was there before him. So you was Pan-African when there was FBA people out. I remember seeing them dudes since high school and stuff. They were always out there. So
when I met the brother, I met the brother. Like I said, we met, we chopped it up. He didn't give off any type of negative vibe toward me. So I didn't pick up any vibe. Normally I can sense if a cat is moving kind of funny. So I know people in the chat are saying different things, but he was respectful. He moved like a real dude, and the energy was real. It wasn't like it was on some other stuff. So I'm like I said, we're gonna have another conversation. We're gonna go out to LA, chop it up with him, and I'll ask these questions. So before we have the interview, y'all send me some questions. You might even do a live. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And y'all could call in, and then we'll go from there.
I think what Mad Max is saying is, in his mind, he's drawing a wedge or a split between foundational Black Americans and the other global Black people. I can understand that point. I think Tariq Nasheed, he was making the point of people of color. Like when lyrics matter, words matter. When politicians say people of color, they don't always mean Black people. And I think that's what started the train of thought that Tariq got on. Now, it has turned into a fight between foundational Black Americans and other Africans and Black people from the diaspora, which I don't think is productive. but I understand where the argument came from, and I understand what the fight is. I would just say around the world, you're going to have people that like you, people that don't like you. We also have to keep in mind that people that come from other countries, they can't admit that they are openly down for Black people's plight, because if they admit that, there could be some trouble with them coming into the country. So they can't admit that. It would be, you know what I mean? So I think we just have to look at, you know, the roots of these arguments and the context of them as well. But I do hear what Mad Max is saying. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
it's not that big of a deal. To me, the diaspora war shit, excuse my language. I mean, that's what Black people like to do. They like to be they like to just go at it sometimes.
Right.
I mean, people of all races do that. So it's not just a Black thing. We're not even say that. But you know, that's what people do. So I'm not really that I don't really like care too much for that. It's just when I see like people trying to start narratives so they can do it directly. That's what annoys me. But if Tariq Nasheed is genuine, he's genuine. I don't really dig. I'm not one of those people who go into circular talks. The only circular talks I like is hip hop, sports, maybe anime, comic books. I don't like circular talks on politics and none of that. That's a waste of time, in my opinion.
Before we jump off that though, what did you think about? I want to ask you, what did you think about Uncle Luke's comments about, since Tariq is asking Vice President Harris questions, that, you know, he's not being a genuine, he's dividing the community. Do you think that's an accurate or fair charge if someone asks questions that they're dividing the community? And what are people in New York thinking about this this election season? What's the pulse on the street right now?
I don't think Tariq's wrong for asking questions. I mean, to be honest with you, Black people, and it doesn't matter if they foundational Black or Caribbean or quote unquote African. If they live in America, they get trained to vote Democrat, and that's it. It don't matter. Even if they just came to the country, they get trained to vote Democrat. It's almost like a cult. So, you know, it's good to ask questions. It's always good to ask questions. And you know, New York is like, it's Democratic, so they're gonna pretty much vote Kamala. I mean, but
So
there's a lot of New
on the
York.
block, what's the block saying? The block feeling that energy? They voting for it too? Or is the block saying something different?
I'll say this: a lot of the brothers, they like Trump. A lot of them. The sisters, they still gonna rock for Kamala. That's how it's going. Or to me, it's more of a it's more the brothers are siding towards Trump, and the sisters are more towards Kamala. Than New York is unifiably one or the other. But there's a lot of brothers who are still gonna vote Kamala, and there's a lot of sisters who like Trump too. So it's not that. I think New York is just, you know, it's 50. I wouldn't say 50-50, but yeah.
Yeah, New York, you know, they're going to look at the economics too, though. New York, you know, they're going to be like, you know, what's the money talk about? And
yeah, it's more about the money and stuff.
I can understand that because, you know, we got to have a living, make money. So I'm not mad at that thinking, you know, for where New York stands, and California is similar in that regard. So
I saw a video on YouTube. There's this guy on YouTube. He went down in the subway. He said most of the subway, there used to be like subway malls down there. And he said a lot of Starbucks are closing. So a lot of the shops, like the subway food, you know, fast food joint. A lot of shops like the Dunkin' Donuts and a lot of things that's in the subway are closing because it's just wow. You know what I'm saying? He said New York.
No. Oh yeah, the Ron.
What's going on?
Dudes is getting boomed every day in the subway. I don't mean to laugh. It's bad, but dudes it's bad over there. Like,
I heard a lot of stores is closing too, man. What's going on in New York?
The violence is just raising up. It's just people is going cuckoo, man. I can't really explain it like on a political level. It's just, you know, there's more crazy people and they're doing more crazy things. They're out of their mind. They're doing the violence is up. A lot of a lot of these kids are wild, but it's not even just a lot of the kids. There's a lot of dudes that you wouldn't even think as a kid. They just out of their mind. Like there's something spiritually going on. I would say it's more of a spiritual thing than, or maybe it's like the economy too. So it's stuff like that.
Is it a lot of illegal immigrant crime happening, or is that what's going on with that? Is there a lot of is that a problem? What's going on up there?
It's just Ron, I'll be honest with you. Everybody's just bugging, bro. In New York, it's like you go to like the poor. Obviously, it's going to be the more poorer sides of the city, but it's just people. They just going crazy. Like, you know, I remember there was a video that went viral. This dude on the train, he got into it. He did get into it with an immigrant, like a Hispanic dude, immigrant, and somehow he got shot. It was a crazy thing. Like that's happening like every day though. Like girls is getting violated on the train. It's not safe. So they should be like, and you know, I don't know what Mayor Adams has to do, but he gotta fix it up because it's getting bad out there over there.
At one point, California, and we also have a subway system. I don't know if people know that, but it's crazy in the subways of California as well. The Bay Area, we got subways. It's crazy, but I want to go back to the car real quick. We was talking about his albums. He makes a lot of gangster music. What separates his gangster music from other gangster music is he's talking about why there is crime, why someone is a gangster, and he goes into the economics. And if a person goes without money for too long, that they are more susceptible into falling victim to crime and going out and doing something, jumping out the window. So he talks about that. And I think for any politician or just us, so we can understand what happens in these areas where the crime goes up, if we make the connection with economics, I think we could get to the root of a lot of these issues. So kind of
and it's crazy. One second, Mad Max. I used to go to New York real heavy. I just got back from New York not too long ago. And I used to go to New York like 4, 5, 6 times a year. I used to live on 135th and St. Nick, and I used to live in Astoria. I used to live in Queens when I was working up there for a little bit. And going back to New York recently, man, it's just different, man. I was asking myself, like, I told my wife, like, what happened? Like, how did this? Because it used to be fly. I used to walk around. The subway was cool. It was still dirty. But I mean, people were walking around. People were looking fly. The ladies were looking fly. People were handling their business. People were out on the stoop. Everything was chilling. I used to go to Brooklyn. I used to go to Utica. It was safe. I didn't have to worry about, even though it kind of got sketchy on that J line or whatever, or on that the ABC line or whatever. But it was cool. You know what I'm saying? I was walking around Harlem. It was cool. But it just felt the energy was mad dark in New York, man. I just don't know what happened. Was it COVID? Was it I saw a lot of homeless people up there. There's always homeless people in New York, but it was just like mad. I never seen so many homeless people in my life. It's just wild, man. It's just wild.
It's a bit of everything. A lot of robberies are happening. That's why the stores is really closing. A lot of robberies,
So who's responsible for it has to be somebody. It's just the people just didn't wake up and turn crazy. What has changed the culture of New York? What's going on?
Well, I personally don't live in the city, so I would have to say it's a Mayor Adams thing, and then COVID, and then just
I can see that.
If you follow the America's New Babylon, that a lot of brothers say, it could be that too, But I would just say it's the economy, Adams not doing his job correctly, and COVID really did mess a lot of people up, though. Like, a lot of people lost their mind. Like, they actually lost their mind during that little pandemic. And they never really got it back. That was like a social experiment that, it didn't really go too well. So,
but like I was saying, hip hop itself came out of conditions similar. And I'm not saying that hip hop is the solution to our economic issues. It can be part of the help of the solution, but just like I was saying, like, our culture really is able to take pieces from what's around us. Like, whatever's going on in your city, neighborhood, your state, whatever, you can take pieces of what's going on and mix something together and find a way out, or find something you can make or do that will produce positive results for you. That's really what our power is as a people. You got a Jewish guy who was commenting, Michael Rubin, who was specifically, he was commenting on our culture because they know that that's what our power is, to take something negative or even just take anything and turn it into a positive. That's our special powers. And he knows that. So it's like, I think we should get back into our studies, and back to what we do. You could be a Hebrew Israelite. You could be Christian. You could be Muslim. You could be Kemetic. You could be 5%. You could be whatever it is, but get in your bag and then start to apply those teachings in the physical reality, right? Things are spiritual. And then there are some things that just require work, that require hard-nosed, hammer-to-nails work. Let's get it. You know what I mean? And I think we could turn the situation around just for us as a community. Other communities, like the guy we were just talking about, they have a shared economics where their dollar bounces around in the community. It's not always about how much money bounces around. It's the fact that the money bounces around in the first place. That's half the battle right there. Now, will it cure everything for us? No, but it will make it to where our people have a little bit extra money in their pocket. So I just think we got to get in our bag, man.
No doubt. Shout out to Jermaine Johnson, friend of the show. He has a different opinion. He said he lives in Brooklyn, works in Manhattan. Says New York is better than it's ever been. Please do the research. Crime is down across the city and nationwide. Shout out to Jermaine Johnson, man. I'm gonna holler at you when we go to New York, man. Maybe you can show me these good parts. But it just feels different. It don't feel like it used to feel, brother. That's just me, man. But I mean, I don't live there, so maybe it's different, but it just feels different to me.
I mean, it's probably in certain parts it did get better. I'm not going to. But I want to talk about this Steve Stoute thing because I agree with Steve Stoute. Okay. I believe lyrics never mattered in any era. It's just that the 90s, there were a lot of great lyricists, obviously. But what makes a great hip hop record has never been the lyrics. Lyrics only help your record through for longevity. It's never been the thing that people went to first. Okay. Is the beat hot? Is your voice good? And do you have a great flow? That's what everybody cared about. Because for Mike to get on the show, or you go through different pods and they talk about the star and the legend of Snoop Dogg. Well, Snoop Dogg, I'm not gonna say he was a whack lyricist. I'm not gonna disrespect him. He's not viewed as a high top tier lyricist like that. And we love his music. He got classics.
Right, but Mad Max, why would you buy a Nas album? Like, for what? Because
I would buy a Nas album because I think Nas has one of the greatest voices I ever heard on a beat, on a hip hop beat, and he has a classic flow, and then on top of that, he does come with out of this world lyrics. But the first three things have to be addressed first. If your beat, voice, and flow is not it, I don't care about what you're talking about. Now,
but you acknowledge the lyrics. You just did acknowledge the lyrics. Why would you buy a Wu-Tang record? Like, for what?
Because of RZA's beats, and then the voices, the flows, and then the lyrics.
But the lyrics are included in what you're saying.
Eventually, I went. No, see, the thing is, all right. See, right. So what I'm saying is, yes. Lyrics matter when you're separating dudes like Nas from like a guy like a Future. See, Future has no lyrics, right? But he's still relevant because he picks a lot of hot beats. His voice is decent to a generation of kids. His flow is great to a generation of kids. But nobody, even if you go through cross generation, there might be some kids who say Future's better than Nas, but overall, Future will never top Nas in no hip hop discussion because obviously Nas has better lyrics, but Nas also has great beats he's rapped on. He has a great voice. He has a great flow. So if they both have those same great qualities in different aspects, what's the difference? Okay. Oh, now the lyrics come in. The lyrics are something that only come you have to get to lyrics. Lyrics aren't the first thing, and I think that's what Steve Stoute was really trying to say.
Let's play it real quick because a lot of people in the audience don't know what he said. Let's play it.
Okay.
Lyrics, and they're like, oh, you know, nobody cares about lyrics anymore and all this other shit. I was thinking, you know, it's so funny. It's so easy for an older generation to talk like that. They weren't giving a fuck about lyrics when Nas put out Illmatic. That's why it took 5 years to go gold. They wasn't giving a fuck about lyrics when Young MC didn't take that long to go gold. Or like they were buying that shit.
There's always been trash music. There's always been
Reasonable Doubt took a long time to go off. Look at Reasonable Doubt's first week.
But Illmatic didn't have a funky coke. No, MTV was pushing that shit.
Yeah, all that type of shit. My point is that you may like lyrics and all that other kind of stuff, and it may be something that you love, but does it make you buy it? You know what I'm saying? And you can't look at generations and go, like this new generation, they don't give a fuck about lyrics. You weren't rewarding niggas who's making lyrics back then.
Good point.
G-Rap didn't get rewarded.
He damn sure did.
I mean,
let me go.
like, that's why they do all that other shit. Because you're not rewarding it. You want it, you say it in your heart. That's why Jay said on the album, you want to buy my old shit, buy my old albums. You don't want to hear me go forward, buy my old shit then if I'm rapping in a way you don't like. Because you weren't fucking there anyway.
I hear what he's saying,
Stuff.
right? But he's a businessman. He made money off Nas' album selling. I didn't make no money off Nas' album selling. So I bought Nas because I wanted to hear lyrics. I wasn't making money off Nas. You made money off Nas. So that's why you're asking how much did it sell? Because that helps your bottom line. My bottom line wasn't affected by Nas's album sales.
But
That's
I think but Leroy, to go off what you're saying, you're talking about you're one person.
There's a whole generation that never got paid off Nas.
But also, Leroy, if Steve Stoute is trying to put a product out, and
right.
most of the, because he's talking about people from the 90s, if Young MC is going platinum quicker than Nas is going platinum,
right?
If Coolio is outside at the time, or who's a Kid and Play, and they go gold and platinum quicker than Nas goes platinum, what does that really tell you?
But that's
about lyrics.
No, that's not the. I can't say people don't care about lyrics. I just say you have to look album sales and who's selling records. There's a lot of factors that go into it. Steve Stoute should understand more than anybody, being a veteran of the rap game and the music industry, the business of hip hop. You got to actually put a marketing team together. You got your A&R team. There's radio budgets. Illmatic, the concept of Illmatic wasn't supposed to be a commercially viable album. So it shouldn't have been gold and platinum out the gate. It was an artistic album. It was from a young MC that painted the picture of Queensbridge and created a classic album. I don't think that was thought to be a commercial success. And Steve Stoute is kind of being disingenuous. He knows how the music business works. He had a marketing budget. A young MC, Coolio's had a placement on Criminal Minds, which was on the soundtrack. MTV was playing that video at least 25 times a day. So let's be for real, okay? We know how records.
If Steve Stoute put up millions of dollars behind Ice Spice, Ice Spice may sell a few more records, but if he put in that same work for a lyrical rapper, they may perform great too. But if you're not putting no marketing dollars, and you can market lyricism. Wu-Tang has showed us you can market making lyrics cool. Wu-Tang,
but was Wu-Tang
and Jay-Z is massively successful off bars, not just goofy shit.
But I want to, all right, see, because you guys are older, you lived through that time. I wasn't there, so I want to have an understanding. Was Wu-Tang? How many lyrical rappers were really selling records?
Right, but our idea of selling a lot of records is going platinum, right? Which is 1 million copies.
At that time, yeah.
But if you sell gold, that's a lot of records. That is a lot.
I would argue Cube was lyrical. I think Cube was lyrical. Pac was lyrical. I mean, even though Dr. Dre and Snoop had they bops, I mean, Snoop's a lyrical. I thought Snoop had lyrics. You know what I'm saying? Cube had lyrics. Pac had lyrics. So there was people that were Wu was lyrical. I mean, Public Enemy was out. They didn't really sell like that, but I mean, they were doing their thing.
Yeah, but you're talking about different levels of lyricism. I think what he's talking about, Steve Stoute is talking about, is the Nas type, the multi-syllabic lyricist. I like Cube and Pac is lyrical. I'm not trying to say they're not lyrical. They're just not multi-syllabic. So I think he's talking like Redman and
right. I get it.
I would say like maybe Outkast before they went and did Aquemini, like
right.
What was that album called? Southern Playalistic or whatever. I don't know how much that sold. Honestly, I don't. I'm just throwing out names. I think he's talking more multi-syllabic dudes. Like that's why he said Cool G rap.
I get that. He's talking about, the formula, which I can agree with, right? If the goal is to sell a lot of records, which I know obviously that's what artists want to do. So yes, hooks matter. Yes, melodics matter. However, I don't feel that the lyrical approach gets the same amount of support market-wise and budget-wise that someone who's like a Future. A Future, his records have two hooks, not just one hook. You hear one hook, but Future's records, the verses are the hooks, and then the hook is the chorus. Hooks and choruses are not the same. But the reason why Future's music rings like it does is because it's a continuous hook the whole time. Everything is repeatable, right?
Yeah, it's
going to sell, right?
But people want to remember stuff. I think what he's really getting at.
Yes.
I think real quick. I just think what he's really saying is that when you put people in a setting, the average person. I don't think he's talking to like hip hop heads. He's talking about the average person.
Right.
When they get into these certain settings, music is really like background noise for them, and they just want to dance to the catchy stuff. And in that sense, lyrics really don't really matter like that, and they only help you out. Lyrics only truly matter, 10 years after the fact, after the project's been out. Illmatic is Illmatic. Really, the legend of Illmatic came out like Illmatic didn't become legendary to like 99. I'm not gonna say it wasn't legendary before, but like 99, 2000. That's when people was like, "Oh, that's a classic. That's the one. That's the Bible of hip hop." Like, you know what I'm saying?
I'm not arguing these points. Like, if you're telling me, the hooks matter and stuff like that. Now, if you have another artist that's not hook heavy, I was gonna say Lupe Fiasco, but Lupe actually does have great hooks. But I can use him to the degree of, if he had the same amount of market push as Future, I think Lupe could pull off sales too. I think, and it's not all about marketability, but an established lane for lyricists, meaning the appeal of this record that you're to get or pay for is based on lyricism. I think if that's a clear cut to the audience and it's marketed like that, right? Like Cannabis went gold back in the day, right? So I think that can work. That can sell records too, because we don't see it done a lot of times. We are assuming that it just can't be done or people are not interested. But there's a lot of people out there. When we say people not interested, we got to keep in mind how many people there are out there. You know what I mean?
But Jay-Z also said he dumbed down his lyrics to double his dollar.
But
he himself cannot be bugging him. Home said it himself.
So is he saying that he alone dumbed down, or is he saying the culture has been, they all say holla? So is he saying the culture has dumbed down, so he himself went from Reasonable Doubt to Black Album to where you could understand? Because if he kept feeding you Reasonable Doubt and you're all yelling holla, it's like, if skill sold, truth be told, I'd probably be lyrically Talib Kweli. So I understand people are saying Jay dumbed down, but I think what Jay is saying is I entered a game that was already dumbing down music already. So I'm playing the game that I stepped into.
Yeah, but I hear that. I hear that, Leroy. I'm just saying,
Man,
if you listen to Reasonable Doubt, right,
right.
and that's just supposed to be his best version of himself, at least lyrically. I wouldn't say
Yeah,
that's the best version of Jay-Z. I would say that's what people say that's his best lyrical performance, right?
right.
He and if he's never replicated that and he got richer and more famous, I mean, he pretty much essentially did what Steve Stoute is basically saying, that you guys don't really. I'm not saying I'm not. I don't think lyrics don't matter completely, like 0%. I do think there's a percentage of lyrics that do matter because you
Right.
know, even when you talk about forget hip hop, like you talk about Michael Jackson or Prince or Stevie Wonder, there are verses in their songs that resonate 40, 50, 60 years later. So
My
lyrics matter to a degree. I'm not gonna say they don't matter, but I'm
and
just
my
saying.
question is, and not to cut you, but
No, you
what
good.
are we allowing people to say for us what should matter to us? And I'm not knocking Steve Stoute because I realize also he's put in a lot of work to earn the respect in this game. But why, when he says lyrics don't matter, we all just say okay? Like, why does his opinion override our opinion? Because if my opinion is lyrics do matter, do I have to accept what Steve Stoute is saying? Like, who made these rules that I have to have a hook that has a melodic singer? I have to have a cadence that reminds me of Atlanta and Future. Who made these rules that I have to follow as an artist? Why do I
But
have to follow them?
but I feel like Steve Stoute he's saying these things based on the obviously the
Market.
financial payout that Nas was getting from Illmatic and what Jay-Z was getting from Reasonable Doubt. I think he's saying this basically as the bottom line says the lyrical masterpieces don't sell immediately out the gate. They get heralded high over time, but they don't move units like that. So
Right.
what sells is more
Okay.
accessible music. To be honest with you, Biggie Smalls was accessible. A lot of Biggie Smalls is raps. No,
Right.
and Biggie Smalls was a phenomenal lyricist. I'm not trying to diss him, but even when I was a kid and my dad would play like Big Papa and stuff like that, I'd be like, "What is this cheesy stuff?" And I'm just no disrespect, but I like Biggie had a lot of pop songs that were like I mean the lyrics were still there, but it wasn't like crazy. It wasn't like who
You
shot
know,
you.
I think the podcast game. I'm not saying Joe Budden podcast is doing this, but a lot of podcast games coming like the late night talk show game, right? When I was young, I used to think those talk show conversations on Jay Leno and David Letterman were like organic, but they rehearsed these things ahead of time. Steve Stoute had a point that he wanted to make, and he said it on Joe Budden's podcast to kind of spark a conversation in the blogosphere, on the blogs, on independent podcasts, independent media. He knows how this game works. If you want something to go platinum, these record labels will make it go platinum. That's just how it works, right? Interscope can make and break an artist. It's not rocket science how it works. They're gonna put money behind it. They're gonna manipulate the sound. Back in the sound scan era, they would manipulate the sound scan. Now in the streaming era, they got the streaming farms. They're in bed with Spotify, Apple Music, all the DSPs. They can make whatever pop. So let's
Yeah.
not. So him acting like, oh, lyrics don't matter. If Illmatic wasn't made to be a commercial success, it was made as when Columbia put it out. It was the musings of a 17, 18-year-old MC telling what it was and what was going on in the life in Queensbridge. That's what it was, right?
Right.
It wasn't supposed to sell 10 million copies or 5 million copies to go platinum out the gate. But there were other artists that they put in that were on other labels that had commercial success because they were made to have commercial success because the record labels put that apparatus behind them to make them viable on radio. It was a sound scan era. It was the MTV. It was the BET era to make them pop. So I just think people get on these podcasts just to be saying shit. And I think it's funny that they, every podcast is a new story. You would think that these guys been in the game for 20, 25 years. They would have told that story before, but now it's some kind of new thing. But it's entertainment. So We were thoroughly entertained. I'm
The fans
entertained.
care so much.
When we're talking about it on a Saturday night, I could be in watching what's on Netflix. I'd be watching something on Netflix with the wife, but I'm here talking to the audience about
Why do the fans care so much about what an album sold? You'd be like, this album's good. I could tell them, Kyle got good albums. Like the albums behind me. They'll be like, well, how much did it sell? Like, why are the fans so worried about how much the artist sells when it doesn't matter? Like, we're not in the business. We're here to listen. We just listen to the music. The fact that we care so much whether somebody sells a lot of records, we have now turned into the people that we were supposed to be fighting against. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like hip hop was supposed to be a counter to the pop music that everybody was regurgitating. Now we have turned into the pop music that everybody is regurgitating, which Tyler was making this point too. But I mean, we turned into what we're supposed to not like.
Let's not talk about Tyler because he had no business saying what he said.
Okay.
He had absolutely no business saying what he said, and that's a whole nother thing. I mean, Tyler the Creator, you dress like Ian, you make raps like Ian. Okay. You are Ian. So I mean, cut it out. Ian was probably bumping your music before he ever started getting into a booth. Cut it out.
No, I'm saying is this, right? We know what's supposed to sell, what's not supposed to sell. We've heard all the arguments, but to downplay the role of lyrics in hip hop, I think is a misstep. And to base it on sales coming from an executive to us, I think that's a misstep.
Well, I think lyrics matter. It's just that I think the beat matters more. I think your voice matters more. And I think your flow and how you can complement the beat matters more. Then the lyrics matter. Content after that, obviously
words. When we say lyrics, we mean the actual words. And we're countering or arguing whether the words matter. Now I know that there's levels. We're talking about the repeatable quotables. That's easy. No face, no face, no face. We can like that. But do the actual verses matter and do the lyrics matter? Yes, they matter. And Jarv, I see you. Tap in. If I'm so full of shit, tap in and we can talk about it. You know what I mean? So, or I'll come on your show. And you could grill me about that all day and it's fine. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying, Leroy. I'm just saying, like, there's a hierarchy. That's what my point is. Steve Stoute, he might have been bugging saying it doesn't matter at all. We can agree there. I'm not going to say it doesn't. But I just think there's a hierarchy. Like, the beat is what matters most. The rapper's voice, then, their flow. Because you have to, all that, like, the actual sonics of the music has to be appealing and pleasing.
Well, yeah.
And you even get to what you're saying. That's pretty much what I'm saying.
Yes, the music has to be good. Yes.
Yeah, the music has to be good.
Yes. But I think lyrics have never really got a clean shot. Like, look, let's make this artist or this lane strictly for people who enjoy lyrics. When y'all heard Exhibit C, were you worried about whether it was gonna go platinum, or were you just into the lyrics? I was just there for the lyrics. I wasn't concerned whether it was gonna be a big smash. You know what I mean? So
I hear you.
It's like
Michael Williams with the super chat says, Leroy, how do you feel about Jay always putting a heavy emphasis on sales? Jay is a big factor why people put so much stock into sales.
I think that's more of a 50 Cent thing than even a Jay-Z thing.
I think that was that. I think when MC Hammer went diamond, that became a thing. Jay is in an interesting position because Jay is also a business. He's also the co-founder of the label, and he's in a partnership with Def Jam. So when you listen to the context of his music, yes, he's talking about his life, he's talking about his history, but the context also is I'm in a partnership as the flagship of Rockefeller. So I'm going to keep telling you about Rockefeller because I literally do have to make that entity valuable. I think his back was to the wall with that, because that's the position he was in. There wasn't anybody at Rockefeller at his time in 96, 97, 98 that was doing more than him. So he kind of he had to talk business, because he's a co-founder. It's like Jermaine Dupri rapping about So Def, or Mace repeating Bad Boy, We Won't Stop. They kind of have to throw in their label, you know what I mean? Because they're part of that machine. Or DMX talking about Rough Riders. Like, he got it. So in talking about that, yes, they're gonna say how much valuable they are, because Jay had to go into these meetings with Russell Simmons and actually make the point that, look, I know my value, Russell. Like, I'm rapping about my value. So that's why I think he made a big deal with Silks.
Free made a good comment. Free said, there's more music available now than ever, so people judge commercial success just to know if something they should check out. I mean, that's probably why they care about the sales. So
okay, I hear that, but lyricism. That's why I'm here, y'all. That's what I came in on. And if you're gonna tell me lyrics don't matter, or you made an interesting point about the musical hierarchy, which is fine, but lyrics matter, y'all. If I ask a lot of y'all what your favorite MCs are, you're gonna start listing off lyrical guys. If I start asking what some of your favorite songs are, you're gonna start listing off a bunch of lyrical songs. If I start, if I asking what's real hip hop, you're gonna start listing off lyrical songs. That ain't no coincidence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they last longer than the songs that don't have them.
A lot of speculation on the monies I've made. Honeys I slay. How's he for real? Is he really, really paid?
Right.
How's I met? I dealt with the wreck. Is he truly staying beef and slept with a tech? What's
the position you hold? It was 59 cents. Mine was $4. Now that was a lot of game in that one bar that a lot of people missed.
All right, so Ron, I also wanted to talk about this Drake thing you brought up with Mike.
Let's do it. Mike's of the opinion he can speak for himself. He said to me in the text, he said, I think Drake should just chill. And I said, no, absolutely not.
Right.
Well,
I think he should keep going.
Drake should keep going. I thought he should have chilled earlier, but he kept going. Now why would you stop? And honestly, I was bugging for thinking that he should stop. Drake should keep going because he's an artist. Artists do this. When Jay-Z and Nas had their battle, they kept going. They didn't stop either side. So I think I agree with your point, and it does make Kendrick look iffy. It's like, where are you at, dog? Where you at? You rapping? Like, because even though Nas allegedly smoked Jay-Z, right? Because people like to compare Drake and Kendrick, their battle somehow to actual real hip-hop battles like Nas and Jay-Z. But, they want to compare that. If that battle was like the modern day Nas and Jay-Z, well, Nas and Jay-Z kept rapping. Nas was dropping an album every year after that battle. Jay-Z was dropping an album continually every year after that battle. So if Drake is, doing his part and dropping the music, where the hell is Kendrick? Where is Kendrick? Are you waiting for another narrative and somebody else to come out with a hot sound for you to bite off of? For you to come out with some music? Is because we know you're the narrative rapper. We know you're not a real creative. You just, you come out, you wait till narratives get out there for you to hop on and do your little pretentious, contrived babble rap on there. But we know that.
Like Us hit kind of different, bro. Not Like Us hit kind of different. And that was a 4-piece combination. Starting with Euphoria, then 6, then that 6 song, and then Meet the Grams, then Not Like Us. That was a 4-piece combo.
How you go from dropping 4 records in like a week, to no records? I mean, what is he really doing? And then we really need to look at that. We never give him no slack. Again, Nas is supposedly the victor of the Jay-Z Hove battle. He dropped Godson a year after Stillmatic. He dropped the Lost Tapes joint in 2003. Then he dropped a double album in 04.
Hey, Mad Max, we got a special guest in here. We got Jarvin from the Rap Roundtable. What's good, brother?
What's going on? I had a few minutes on this Saturday night to tap in, and I see Leroy Green on here bullshitting a little bit, and I'm like, I'm a little disappointed in Leroy because you're talking about fans discussing sales.
Yes, sir.
Much like anything, as fans, when we discuss whether it's sports, food, music, lifestyle, we're gonna parse every avenue of it. So of course we're gonna talk sales. But you getting your preacher on with that preacher tone, and we should not, as black men, be talking about sales, brother man. You know, we've been in this orbit. I want to say about 3 to 4 years now. And every time you've been in that chat and Hov and Nas come up, you'll be the one talking about themselves. So how are you now on this platform here? Is podcaster Leroy Green not the same as Jay-Z fan Leroy Green? That's why I said you're full of shit, because you can't preach to people while doing the opposite of it.
So I didn't talk about Jay's lyrics. I never brought up Jay's bars, is what we're saying?
We talked about him winning the war by way of his impact, his sales, his reach. Come on now. I didn't read them chats now. It's me you talking to.
So I didn't bring up them bars. I'm not talking about Jay's lyrics. That's
not what we're talking about, Leroy. We're talking about what you've done in the past, and now you're preaching people to do the opposite. Let's stay on topic here.
Okay, now my thing is, we can talk about sales, but the fact that we care so much that's the first thing we go to now is, well, what did it sell? Now, I do believe that shouldn't be the first thing. Now, you're saying when I'm talking about Jay, I'm talking about the sales, but I remember talking about bars a lot of times when it comes to Jay.
I'm not questioning that. I'm just saying
about bars many times.
All right, go ahead, carry on.
Sales. It had to go to sales because I was talking about bars so much that people was like, man, forget them bars that Jay got.
That's fair. But you don't see a disconnect by telling people not to talk sales when that's in your repertoire?
It's in but there is context. There is context there. It's not without context, and that's what a lot of people leave out when they talk about me, you included, is context of what I'm saying.
Nah. Yeah, I'm making a general statement. If you're telling people not to talk sales, that's what you said. You didn't say don't talk sales without context. You're trying to spin me now. I'm a vet, bro. You can't do that to me. You know what I'm saying? If you would have said don't talk sales without context, then I wouldn't even be on the air right now. But you clearly said that people talk sales and they shouldn't. So if you're going to elocute these points, you got to be very specific about it, because people who watch you and know your history are going to question you, just like the chat has multitude of times, just like they did tonight. They looking at Leo. I wasn't the first person to say he was full of shit. There was a person like a few comments before me who said he was full of shit for this very reason. So if you're going to elocute, you got to do it the right way.
They're not going to admit that I talked about bars, though. See, they
know you talked about bars, but they just find it crazy. It's just like me telling Ron not to talk about podcasting. He does when he talks about podding, you know what I mean? Or Ron would be like, "But that's what I do, bro." He gonna stand on his square. You here trying to spin me right now? You pushing the circle button.
They're gonna say that they're gonna say the only points I ever made about Jay was that he sold a lot of records. They're gonna completely leave out that I ever mentioned he had lyrics.
That's not everybody. That's probably like Still Here and Michael Brown and a couple of them. You know, I know the culprits. You know what I'm saying? But people like me who know you, I just find that interesting. So you don't think we should talk sales?
But I do. I am going to stand on what I'm saying, that sales now has become such a talking point. And if people want to have it, cool. But I do think that the music itself, particularly the lyrics, going back to Steve Stoute, is of more importance because, again, I'm not making money off how many records Nas sells like Steve Stoute is talking about. And I hear the sales, but I do think now sales is a huge topic that everybody harps on like it's the greatest thing, where it's like, bro, what happened to just the music, the bars? That's what really came in talking about.
You sound crazy saying that.
I could sound crazy, but that's what I'm saying.
It's 2024, Leroy. What are you talking about?
I'm saying.
Sales matter.
Our executive hats on.
All, how instead of our fan 38, 39, you around there?
Exactly. Yeah, no doubt.
So that means in 98, 99, 2000, let's say even go back 97.
Right.
When the record sales was really going through the roof. We was kids and we lived through it, or we watched the industry change in real time, correct?
Yes.
But why are you making 1997 arguments in 2024? We passed sales. Like sales is the anchor of this whole shit.
In 1998,
especially from a mainstream perspective, it's all about sales. That's why I said in the chat earlier, we cannot grade rap on some 1997 shit when rap is so far beyond that. Like we passed that. If you're telling me if the adult contemporary heads is doing it, and you saying sales don't matter, I could get with that because they're not doing it for a grandiose amount of sales.
But that's what I'm
talking about. A Drake and a Kendrick and those guys, those are heavy hitter main event level guys. They're doing it for the sales, whether they admit it or not.
But Drive, when you're talking about me, you're actually making my points because I did say that. I made a separation between adult contemporary rap, the guys that aren't doing it for rap. I said, hey, dude behind me, the album's behind me, this dude's a firefighter. He ain't rapping for money, like he ain't rapping for sales because I think he's all right. Money-wise, I think he's good already. Mm-hmm. So I did make a separation.
So what exactly is your point when you reference sales then? If you're saying that the adult contemporary guys don't count.
Did you agree? Did you agree? Did you agree with Steve Stoute's? I'm asking genuinely. It's not a trick question. Did you agree with Steve Stoute's points that he made about the lyrics not mattering?
I don't view rap that way. So no, I think lyrics don't matter to certain pockets of rap. I think lyrics matter to certain pockets of rap. I just like Steve Stoute is doing the same thing you're doing, but in reverse, where he's making a sweeping statement. And you saying that you didn't, but from my vantage point, it's a sweeping statement about rap in its totality. We're saying lyrics don't matter. That's crazy to me because at the top of the rap food chain, whether we want to agree or not, is J. Cole, is Drake, is Kendrick. Those are all rappers who have made lyricism, whether they wrote it or not, a key component of their rapping. So you can't say that. But then if you go beneath that and you got the TikTokers who do a lot of streaming numbers, whether inflated or not, there's a lot of non-lyrical people there. So if he's talking about that, the majority of young rappers today, then I could say he's not wrong. Lyrics don't matter because they're not rapping. Look at this guy B-Dot saying that Central C is the best rapper he heard in the last 5 years. Central C is not a barsmith. You know what I'm saying?
I got to stand on what I said. When it comes to not just the pod space, but the fans and a lot of comments, what I'm hearing, it got a lot to do with the sales. Look, I respect the sales. Selling platinum is not an easy task. Going gold is not an easy task.
Right.
Being is not easy. But when it becomes of such importance that we're weighing that up on a scale to where now we're saying, well, maybe we could emphasize lyricism a little bit less. And maybe we can argue about, well,
that's a 20-year argument, Leroy. That's been happening. Year over year, that's been happening. All right. I'm going to get in trouble here.
You know what I'm saying?
What you think happened in the mid-2000s with rap? You think it was lyrics that was carrying rap from 05 to like 2010? Was it bars? Or was it sales and melodies with some trap shit?
I mean, if you want to say it's
answer the question, Leroy. Don't tap dance. What was running rap from 05 to 2010?
I think Game was lyrical. I think 50 is lyrical. I think Kanye was
50 was running rap from 05 to 2010, bro. What are you talking about?
T.I. is lyrical. I think Dipset.
Don't upset me tonight, Leroy. I can't. I came in peace. I'm talking to my guy, Leroy.
Come on, Lee.
I'm talking to my guy, Ron. Stop playing with me, bro. From 2005 to 2010, it was not bars. It was melodies, trap shit, persona.
Yes. Soulja Boy existed, yes. But T.I. existed, too.
You're right.
So, I mean...
T.I. faded out by like 06, 07, bro.
T.I.? Okay.
Yes.
No.
I was a fan. I bought the
09.
You giving him 09?
No, 09, 2010.
Paper Trail wasn't 09?
Paper Trail wasn't 08? What dropped 08?
Paper Trail, and you had T.I. versus T.I.P.
T.I. versus T.I.P. The fade was beginning, Ron.
Well, Paper Trail was hot, though. I remember
Fair
that.
enough. I love T.I. There's no slander when I say that. I'm just looking at the other side of it. We had the blog era that was coming up. But think about it. We had the ringtone niggas. We had the trappers.
Jeezy was bubbling in 2005.
That's why I said 05 to 2010, that window. Yeah. You had the trappers. You had the melodies.
Exactly, yeah.
You didn't have bars.
Jarv, you yourself care more about the bars than you care about the sales.
And that's why I can say full chested that as a person who lived it, who loves bars, that wasn't what mattered, bro. I managed an artist and I had people telling me he was too nice. What do you mean? I was at labels, Leroy.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So what are you arguing?
I know. I was in the building when Lady got and took off them.
So I can mail you some tap dancing shoes, bro. You playing?
I'm not tap dancing, bro. But you like 38 Special more than you like.
What does that mean to this conversation?
What that means is you understand where I'm coming from because you know.
I asked the question and you didn't answer it.
Yes.
I asked you from you said that when they talk about sales, because I listen. When they talk about sales a lot, it devalues the impact of lyricism. And I said that impact that has been devalued since the late 90s, year over year, and it got exaggerated around 2005.
I got to disagree with that,
You
brother.
can disagree all you want, but the guys that were popping in the mid 90s, who were barsmith, lyricists, culture curators, they were not popping in the mid 2000s, bro. They were getting pushed to the side.
I don't know about that, bro. I think Jay-Z was outside. Now that's the main guy, obviously.
Yeah, guy says Jay-Z. Yo.
Was outside. I think Wu-Tang Clan was outside.
Was outside of 2005. What does outside mean to you?
Outside means to me if Ghostface drops an album in the mid 2000s and people are looking for bars, they're gonna get them. I think Black Thought was outside. I hear what I think even a Jeezy, as much as people would say, well, it's the melody. I think people knew that there were some bars in there too.
The funny thing about Jeezy is the nicer Jeezy got, the less mainstream he became. So that's a strange argument from you. Like again, you're talking to somebody who really does this, bro. Like I really don't understand the angle you're trying to play right now. Because again, like we lived through this whole thing, and you telling me Black Thought and all these guys was outside. Being outside and having extreme impact. They were already getting treated as underground by the mid 2000s, bro. What are you saying to me?
So if
talking about, do you just say things? Are you trying to get a ride? You trying to play the pod game? Like, what are you doing?
If Soulja Boy was popping more than Lil Wayne, that don't mean Lil Wayne wasn't still doing his thing though.
That's
but Leroy to Jar's point, and this is
the mixtape. Lil Wayne was a problem, and that was.
But Leroy, to Jar's point, let's just be for real. The only dudes from the 90s popping who could come out in the mid.
We're a long way from the 90s, bro. We're a long way from the 90s.
Right, but to Jar's point about 05, 06, just that specific point, the only dudes from the 90s who could come out and make noise in like 2005, 2006, 2007 are Nas and Jay-Z.
How many records?
Man could not drop an album and go sell 100,000 copies in the first week.
Who couldn't do that?
Redman could not do that in 06, 07. He could not.
Okay.
In the mid 2000s, Mos Def was by that time he was already more heavy in the acting space. We talking all them raucous niggas. They couldn't eat like that, bro, because the space wasn't calling for that. That's what I'm trying to say. Like again, you're telling me things about. I'm gonna let you cook. You're telling me things about the impact of lyricism, and I'm saying to you on a grandiose scale, as far as where the magnifying glass is,
okay,
sales became the most important thing. 50 Cent didn't even help the cause because he was the person who was peddling first week sales. Like sales became an arguing point. There were guys who were popping who, if they went gold, it was considered a flop, bro.
And that benefits us. That benefits us as the listeners, as the pod space. Their sales benefits us.
Like, what was Jada selling during that time?
It's good to be on air with you for the first time. You know what I mean? Impromptu vibes. You know what I mean? I'm not like Leroy's tap dancing and he's trying to like win an argument that I'm not trying to win. You know what I mean?
You heard Exhibit C, did you care how much it sold? When you heard Exhibit C the first time, did you care how much it sold?
But you talking about him.
Does Jaw speak for the world? I'm just one person.
You. I'm talking just you.
I'm not speaking. The point I'm making is not about my taste, bro. I'm talking about how the industry functions and why people talk about sales and why it matters.
But
try listening as opposed to waiting to talk.
I'm not an industry dude. You might be an industry dude.
But you're making industry statements, Leroy.
I'm not
talking about. This is what I'm saying. This is why I said you was full of shit to begin with. Because there's people who talk and they try to build. You just talk. You're a good talker. You're great at it.
Great.
It's not making sense.
But because sales matter so much to you and the executives you speak for, that doesn't.
Leroy, stop saying things. Makes sense.
That makes sense, and you agree, and you know, because when I ask you what you put lyrics over sales, you personally, not for everybody, but you personally put lyrics over that.
That's not what the conversation was
about. So you understand exactly what I'm saying.
That's not what the conversation was about, though.
But it is, though, because I'm talking my opinion versus Steve Stoute's, which I don't think that lyrics don't matter or lyrics didn't matter back then. I disagree. Or lyrics didn't matter. What you said in the mid-2000 lyrics didn't matter. I disagree. I think lyrics mattered then, too.
That's not what I said, but carry on. That's what I'm saying. You just talking. You just talking now. And I'm trying to keep it as respectful as possible. But you know what I'm saying? But when you just talking, I feel like you're trying to disrespect me because you're saying things that don't make sense.
And let me jump in
Everything
for
you
a
said
second.
is just recorded, brother. It's on.
That's why everyone says you're full of shit because it's recorded and you say a tantamount of bullshit on a regular basis.
Because they say I never talked about bars.
Again,
That's going to be their excuse.
Because
talked about
Mad Max
that's what
has
they
been listening the entire time. And again, I said the industry, as sales inflated, put a magnifying glass on sales. That's what I've been saying the whole time. I've been saying, stop talking.
Hey, this has been
the industry is supposed to put a magnifying glass on sales.
You under talking me doesn't make you any less wrong. Everyone is
the industry
full of it. You know what I'm saying? So again, if you want to just keep talking because you realize that you're full of shit, and if I keep talking, maybe I'll bury the lead. I'll let you keep talking.
Let me get to the super chat real quick. Jermaine Johnson.
Bars, and yes, the industry loves sales and
bro.
Magnifying glass on sales.
Hey, Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says quality and lyricism lives way longer. Wu-Tang and Nas can still go on world tours today. The ringtone rappers will not be able to do that in 30 years.
Lyrics add on to your longevity.
I'm pushing 40. I'm always going to lean on the side of lyricism. But I also live on earth and understand how the industry game is played, which is what I've been trying to say. But every time I get to talking, this guy in California keeps talking underneath me. So I can't finish a sentence.
But you're always going to lean on lyricism. At the end of the day,
yo, Ron, you the point guard here. Can I talk?
Yeah, hey, Leroy, let's give our guest. Let's give our guest. Let's give our guest.
Niggas come to Rap Round Table. I don't do this shit to them. You know what I'm saying?
Allow our guest to finish his thought.
I don't even do this to Leroy when he come on the Rap Round Table. Stop playing with me, Leroy.
Cook.
Anyway,
finish your point.
As I've been trying to say, with the utmost respect, we understand at our grown age. And I don't know. I think Mad Max is much younger than the other three of us, but at our age, we're always gonna lean on lyricism. I love 38. The Benny Project came, loved it. I'm always gonna rush bars. You and I agree on that, Leroy. What I'm saying is, when you have a person like Steve Stoute saying that lyrics don't matter, it's because the field, the league that we are not in, have positioned rap to where there's a large majority of rappers who come in the game and they don't have to be good because since around the late 90s, when the industry boomed in a way that no one could have ever predicted, they say, oh, we could do this and that sells that. Let's keep doing that. And they kept doing that to where it turns into ringtone rap. It turns into melodies, turns into trap shit. And not all the trappers are bad because you still had your T.I.s who was spitting real shit. You had your Jeezys that was spitting real shit. But then you still had about 15 niggas who was getting radio spins who were not good. Shit, I've been lamenting Lil Yachty to this day. Lil Yachty to me is the perfect amalgamation of everything wrong with the rap industry. This kid has no lyrical talent at a high level or gifted level, but he has been placed in position by the powers that be to where a person like Steve Stoute can say lyrics don't matter. Then they could pull up a little guy and say, look at this guy right here. He's not that good, but he's controlling the culture. He's writing for the biggest pop rapper in the world, et cetera, et cetera. That doesn't mean that I don't value lyrics, but I understand that the world I live in, the rap industry, does not value lyrics. No. So when he says that, it's like, I'll say, you know what? He might be bugging because I personally look at rap as subgenres, pop rappers, underground niggas, adult contemporary, shit like that. But to the common Joe Nobody who's looking at rap, who don't do the shit that we do, lyrics do not matter.
Right.
That doesn't mean that I agree. It's just how the game has been positioned.
Exactly. So Little Yachty,
you talk about sales.
So Little Yachty,
bring it all full circle.
So Little Yachty runs hip hop, and we can all accept that, and that's fine. But I just don't rock with Little Yachty, y'all. Like, I'm sorry. So if Little Yachty runs hip hop, I get it. I get the industry part. I get the numbers part. I get the Yachty part. I get the dumbing down of the lyrics. But me personally, and I believe there are others like me that kind of really don't rock with the Yachty swag like that. So I'm just giving my opinion. And also, if there are anybody else out there that is more into 38 Special than Little Yachty, then they probably can see where my argument is coming from. That's all. That's all.
I hear what both of y'all are saying. I'm gonna just say this because I side more with Jarv than Leroy on this, but I mean at the end of the day, Leroy, and this is no disrespect, even if you and there's like 20 other thousand people who think like you.
Okay.
That's not pushing nobody's sales a lot. Lil Yachty has 5-year-olds who probably won't fit with his writing for some bum ass raps that he write, because he's garbage. I agree with y'all with that. He's the worst rapper I might have ever heard. Him and Lil Pump are the worst. But that's a sidebar. But I agree with y'all. Lyrics don't really matter until lyrics matter if we talking about two rappers who are relatively equal, and you trying to make a pick on who's better. Then you say, all right, he's the better lyricist or whatever. But lyrics don't really matter to the general public. The beat is hot.
We're gonna have to put a plug in it, guys. We got to continue this conversation another day. I want to give everybody some chance to say the last word. Jarv, I appreciate you jumping on tonight, man. First time on there, I didn't get a chance to cook with you. You was cooking my boy Leroy, so I couldn't go back and forth. I was gonna ask you a non-rap question, because you are the Vince McMahon of this podcast space. I was gonna ask you who your top 3 wrestlers were of all time. I didn't get a chance to do that. But if you got on the top of your dome, what's your top 3 wrestlers, bro?
Top 3 is tough. Oh man. Of course, The Rock. Because he was the closest thing to a black dude in the Attitude Era. So we always got to go with The Rock. I love that guy. Ric Flair is the other dude. It used to be Hogan, but he's a racist, so I had to move him out of there. So I got Kenny Omega as my 3rd.
No doubt. We're gonna have to get on another pod and talk some wrestling
someday. Of course, I didn't plan on. I'm in trouble right now. I'm supposed to be on dad timing, but I was like, nah, this dude Leroy over here saying too much shit, man. I gotta pull up real quick.
That's what I do, man. That's what I do. But the youth is driving hip hop, not the adults. And we're the only culture, the only genre where the youth has more of a say than the adults. Just pointing that out.
That wasn't the case in rock and roll.
I got to look it up. I think the older guys are still running rock and roll more than the youth.
Mad Max, final thoughts tonight, bro.
I guess the final thoughts is, again, I'm gonna just double down. Lyrics do not matter. I'm just gonna say that lyrics don't matter.
Yeah, I know you say lyrics don't matter because you think Ice Spice is better than Lotto. So yeah, you would say that.
I mean, Lotto don't have no lyrics. Lotto and Ice Spice don't have no lyrics. They both don't have lyrics. Ron, my version of lyricist is Nas caliber. If you're not around that tier, you're not a lyricist. I'm sorry.
I'm just fucking with you, man. I'm just fucking with you. I'm just fucking with you,
bro. But I would just say this for future rappers. We care about your style. We care about your voice. We care about if your beat is hot. You master all that, you'll be all right. Then on top of that, you can sprinkle in some dope lyrics. You'll be fine. But lyrics don't really matter like that. We're just gonna go with that. That's the final thoughts.
Leroy, final thoughts, bro.
My final thoughts is, what is everybody's classic albums? List those out and look at the lyrics on those albums. Now, I get it for the sales argument. If you're making a sales argument, I'm not going to argue with it, but it's been what Jarv went back to the 90s, we went back to 98. So we're talking 25 years, roughly 25 years of a sales argument. That's great. In 2024, is it still about the sales, or is there something else? You know what I mean? And if you look at what a lot of people y'all like the most, your classics and your favorite MCs, these is lyrical guys. Now, I have to stand on lyricism because that's just who I am. So I don't have a choice in that regard. But I think we can kind of shift to something else, man. I think the lyrics should start mattering if they don't matter now. You know what I mean? That's all.
No doubt. Well, I appreciate everybody tapping in. Another weekend rhyme.
Job, I see that.
Shout out to Jarv Rap Roundtable for tapping in with us. Mad Max, as always, Leroy Green. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Yes, sir.
Peace, y'all. Shout out to Rap Roundtable. Shout out According to Hip Hop. Yeah.